viongozi wa bunge, sisi viongozi wa serikali, sisi wote tumekubaliana tutaungana, tutashirikiana. Mchango itatoka kwa executive, mchango itatoka kwa judiciary, tuhakikisha kwamba tunakabiliana na ufisadi, tuondoe ufisadi katika taifa letu la Kenya, ndio Kenya iweze kusonga mbele.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his part supported the meeting, further advising the president to hold talks on state capture.
Hata kama ulikutana na Chief Justice mukaongea mambo ya corruption, had you sought my opinion, ningekuuliza tu kwa heshima kwa hiyo topic, pia mungeweka state capture mjadiliane juu yake, because state capture is more corrosive than even corruption. Kwa hivyo pale mbele, I would like to request your excellency, huyo mama Chief Justice akuje pia another 2, 3, 4 hours, state capture muongee juu yake, because it's even more corrosive than corruption.
Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga has reiterated his stand that the meeting held at State House was aimed at benefiting the judiciary so it can continue working in favor of the government. Speaking in Tanariva, Raila further condemned the three arms of government for increasing the judiciary's budget allocation.
The meeting between the judiciary and the executive, if it ever told what to take place, should not have taken place in a State House. It should have taken place in Parliament, which would be in this case neutral. Lakini sasa wanaenda kule, alafu wanaongea pale Jaji Mkuu na Bwana Ruto wanasema tumeongeza pesa kwa mahakama. Sasa sijui sheria gani ambayo imepatia rais, spika na Chief Justice haki ya kutengeneza bajeti. Bajeti inatengenezwa na bunge, panatengenezwa na Ruto na Mama Kome na Bwana Wetangula. Hao watu wanakashifu Kenya.
A postmortem exercise that was to take place at Nairobi City Mortuary on a human head suspected to be that of the late Rita Waini was stopped. The postmortem was put on hold as the DCI homicide team took over the matter to do a forensic analysis of the head. The head was recovered in Kiambaa Dam in Kiambu County Sunday. And Mumias MP Peter Salasia recorded a statement with EACC after he was summoned to appear on allegations that he assaulted Malaha Isongo MCA Peter Walunya at a burial ceremony. Salasia, who appeared before the commission in its presence of 4 lawyers, says he'll cooperate with investigation officers probing the matter.
Hii mambo ya vitengo ya EACC lazima zitumike on equal basis. Usione ya kwamba ule mwingine anaitwa na ule mwingine I'm the only member of parliament ama kiongozi wa kwanza atikuletwa mbele ya EACC na maneno ya assault, allegation ya assault. Na maneno ya assault na conduct na mambo ya ethics, hiyo ni maneno ya appointing authority. Na appointing authority ya maneno ya kuangalia menendo ya mbunge ni mwananchi ndio yako na nguvu ya hiyo maneno.
Now, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has dismissed 2027 succession politics as tactless, anti-people and primitive. Kindiki, who took to Twitter, demanded that all talk about 2027 succession cease, or in the very least, his name be expunged from the debate. This is News Wire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is one of the hottest show that we can never miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives the real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again.
Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2, 3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant. It's like what my grandmother would say, you cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. A few minutes after 6 o'clock, and let's see what's happening on these streets this morning. A little bit of movement on the Thika Superhighway, but it has not turned into traffic just yet. Everybody's getting in and out of the city without any hold-ups. On Waiakiwe, also free and clear getting into the city, and we're looking at Uhuru Highway, clear all the way from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout out towards Westlands, so you'll be able to use that without any issues. North Airport Road is looking good, coming off of the Eastern Bypass, and Outer Ring as well, maybe just at your junction, so you see a little bit at the junction of Manyanja Road, and then Kangunda Road, Jogo Road, a little bit of hold up here and there, but all doable, manageable. We'll keep an eye on things as we get into Wednesday. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Mambo fiti? Very good.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes. Did you have a good day yesterday?
Yeah, it was all right. I'm trying to remember what happened yesterday. Feels like a blur.
What day was it?
It's Tuesday, that I know.
Okay.
I just had so much work to do, but I finished eventually.
Ulimaliza?
Yeah.
Good. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Wewe mzee? Mambo?
Fit sana.
Yes.
So jacket tuone shati bwana.
Chaka ikae na jacket kidogo. Nasikia baridi hivi kidogo, acha.
Baridi bwana ni mingi leo. I don't know what happened, but today was cold.
Let me tell you what's happening. Have you noticed the last couple of days the moon is in its luteal phase?
What?
So you have the full moon right front and center. So of course with the changing of the moon, seasons are also starting to change.
Okay.
Have you noticed?
No.
You've not seen the moon?
No.
Since Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday the moon has been...
What time does it come out?
Bright. You
Time.
see it from 6, by about 6, the moon is there.
Okay.
Doesn't get dark. It's getting darker later, if you notice.
Yes.
Luteal phase. So the seasons are changing around the world. Actually.
It is getting darker later, that is true. That happens at the beginning of the year. And then towards the end of the year,
it gets
darker later.
Sooner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very
So
true.
the moral of the story is that the seasons are changing.
So, okay, that's very good. And this cold?
It's a bit crispy this morning, isn't it? But
This is not crispy, it's bloody cold.
oh, come on, no, CT, it's not that bad. Hiya. What's happening?
Kwa sawa? Wakati mute tu tuone kama utamute.
No, song me are saying. Yes.
Hey. Sawa.
Computer has a mind of its own. Says me, I'll not be left out of this conversation.
You know, hata muisalimi. So it'll come in. Hey, everybody, good morning. Welcome to Wednesday, the 24th of 2024. How are you doing? What shall we be discussing today? Let me tell you. The Honorable Robert Basil Ngui is the MP for Yatta constituency. Okay?
Did you know I worked in Yatta?
For how long?
About a year.
What did you do?
I was doing comms for the biggest children's home in East and Central Africa. Muli.
Big in terms of?
Size of children in the home.
The number
of children in the home.
Not size of children.
Sorry, the number of children in the home. Actually, we're talking about size of home as well. I just mixed up the words there. Actually, it's doing quite an impressive
How many
job out
children
in
did you
Yatta
have
and
then?
Dalani. At that time, 5,600.
What age bracket?
From months old
to
until university age.
Did you not interview that guy?
Not yet, actually.
Why do I get the impression
you refused to bring him?
Who?
You.
No, I didn't refuse.
Yes.
I'll bring him.
Well, we'll talk to him actually and see if he can do it. Why not? He's doing some good stuff out there.
So he's
5,000 is very many.
10,000 children have passed through his home over the last 20 years.
Those are very many.
There are very many children.
Yeah.
But also, it also tells you there are very many children who don't have homes.
Yes.
And the numbers seem to be growing.
And he started by taking 2 children into his home in Eldoret.
Yeah.
And his family was like, bring in street children. He said, look, if we don't take care of them, nobody's going to. And that's how he started.
Wow. Wow.
So you say Yatta, and I just remember that.
But that's a story that must be told.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
So why don't you tell it? You know, I'm
Me?
still stuck on that.
Why don't I tell the story?
She has actually told the story before.
I have, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
No. Come here and tell a proper story. Not those ones over to you, but you guys as you eat mandazi. No, proper telling of the story.
We'll bring him
by bringing the man here. Okay?
Yeah, we'll bring him here. We'll talk to him.
Bring him. So that we can meet Eric's threshold of telling a story.
Yes.
Well,
tick the box.
No, but that story has to be told. Amidst all this and that and the other that's happening.
It's a bright star. He's doing some fantastic things, growing their own food, using his personal wealth to make sure that children are taken care of.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So his MP is called Robert Ngui. And the Honorable Mheshimiwa will be here at 7 a.m. We'll talk about politics of the country, our political leaders playing their roles effectively. Okay? And then at 8 a.m. today, the 24th of January, is UNESCO's dedicated International Day of Education. Imagine. Do you know that?
I knew it because you told us.
Now we know.
No, he wrote about it earlier.
Yes, he did. Yesterday.
So now, there's a lady called Lilian Moina. She's been here before. She's a country director for an organization called Swiss Contact. She's been in the education space for a while. She'll come and tell us about inequalities in education and how they contribute to insecurity in the country. And that is the conversation we'll be having at 8 a.m. Because the theme for this year is using education for peace. Okay? And then at 9, we will have 2 political people in the studio with us, and we'll be looking at the politics of everything else that's happening in the country. Wait, this thing has disappeared from my screen. It's back. Dr. Ekuru Okoh is the party leader, Third Way Alliance, Kenya, and Kennedy Ondieki is the UDA coordinator in South Nyanza region. They'll both be here. Commercialization of politics in the country.
So.
Commercialization of of politics.
In where?
In Kenya. This Kenya of ours. Higher. So these are the conversations that we'll be having. But first of all, if you're online, please say hello to us, because we're already live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Also, if you're online, it means that you have data and your connection to Wi-Fi. Go to your Play Store or App Store right now and look for Maramoja Taxi. That is a very good app. It's Kenyan. So if you're outside the country, next time you come to the country, as soon as you land at JKIA, usisumbue watu, oh, you guys pick me that time you're landing at 3 a.m. No. Use Maramoja Taxi. It'll take you home. Okay? If you're traveling out of Nairobi, you go to Mombasa, you'll find Maramoja Taxi there. If you go to Kisumu, you'll find Maramoja Taxi. If you go to Eldoret, you'll find Maramoja Taxi there. Nakuru, Maramoja Taxi. Where else? Naivasha. Even there. Maramoja Taxi. We'll tell you more about it during the show.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
15 degrees in Nairobi.
The weather with SpiceFM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Deep State is calling in this morning and saying things. Deep State, good morning. Don Sabwa says good morning and says that to everybody, organ trafficking could be a catalyst for, let's call them short stay accommodations. Abi, what did you call them? That fancy name? What did you say? That one. It could be the cause for those catastrophic murders, Don Sabwa says. Deep State, trafficking could be a catalyst.
All right, go on.
Yeah, okay. Deep State again is saying we should invite Pastor Nganga. Okay. So, Yusuf.
Which Nganga?
The pastor.
The pastor whose church was brought down. I don't know who he told many things.
Okay.
Sabit Yusuf says, good morning to Ndu, Eric, Ednah, and CT. Tune in from Dubai. Wishing you a great day ahead. Thank you so much. And Eshfan Gikonyo says, hi, buddies. Tune in from Texas. Maureen Mudaura says, good morning from sunny Manila. Tampa, Florida. That's where Mumbai is this morning. Checking in from a 28-degree Phuket. And love your show, says Kikombe. Abdi Kadir Hawatle says, I am Abdi Kadir from Garissa. Thank you so much and God bless Kenya. Peter Kibini says, Kibiru, I beg your pardon, says, good morning from Jabari, Amari, and myself. Okay, all three of you on the A104 heading to school. Good Spice Day. Joel Adondi is tuned in as usual and represented. If the whole world is listening to you, why shouldn't I? That's a question, Joel. Robert Mbogo says, good morning, tuned in from Mombasa. Jeffrey Mogaka says, good morning, everybody. Nyaboke, apewe salamu pia. Kweni na siku njema wadau. Chris Adede says good morning from Utawala. Desmond is also tuned in this morning. Cargo says good morning, comrades. Situation Room correspondent tuning in from Richmond in Virginia, where it's very cold. Over and out. Zeke says happy hump day, y'all. We're going to get back to what that actually means. Jacinta Wamboi says good morning, tuned in from San Francisco. Make it a great one. We shall try. Alex Mnai says good morning, kila mtu achukue yake, much love. Joe Mungai is tuned in this morning, and he's saying that we should give his greetings to Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Where is he? David Njenga is also saying good morning, tuning from Boston. Geraldine Chieng, Paul Momanyi says good morning. Kennedy Wanjala is also tuned in this morning. Kevin Magada says good morning. Ann Gore is here. Omar Chanze is also tuned in. Victor Ochanda, David Pearson, Nicholas Gakahu. Everybody, we see you this morning. Folks on Facebook, we know you're there. We can't see you, but we see you all tuned in this morning and say Karibu Sana. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed, indeed. City?
Yes.
Still in the kingdom, aren't we?
We are in the kingdom.
Okay.
We are in the kingdom. If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once.
If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once.
Yes.
So where's the punctuation there?
Punctuation?
Is it if you have a friend like honey, comma, don't eat him all at once? Or if you have a friend, comma, like honey, comma, don't eat him all at once?
You know, you're quite right. Yes.
The meaning could change.
So where is the answer the question?
It's the right question. I approve.
You approve?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have a friend who's sweet like honey, don't eat him all at once. Or if you have a friend, as you would when you're eating honey, eat it in small proportions. Consume whatever it is you're consuming.
Yes, this isn't a proverb that is targeting cannibals.
No, we're talking about the attributes of the person. The attributes of the person, Nespa?
Yeah, Nespa. And it's also saying, do not, Yani.
Don't spend too much time with your friend.
No.
Moderate how much you actually spend.
Yes. Manage your friendships.
Manage your friendship.
Yes. Don't let it get in the way of too many things. Manage it.
Hiya, Basil. Headlines.
Ruto's warning shot to restless Mount Kenya leaders. People have been here making noise up and down, back and forth. He says, hold on. The president has been sucked into the raging squabbles among his lieutenants in central Kenya, warning restless youthful leaders led by MP Ndindi Nyoro, who are seeking to upstage Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in a Mount Kenya supremacy battle, or rather in Mount Kenya supremacy battles. Okay. The president says, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and I agreed to provide mentorship to the youthful leadership, but they should not push us to the corner so that we alter the plan. Also on the front page.
Jeremiah Kioni.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. From the left corner. From the blue corner. Okay. Jeanette question. Raila jumps to the defense of his ally. Okay. Fuel prices. IMF's new bitter pill. They have not had enough. Well, let's see. Israel's Gaza war threat to the Middle East. Israel is saying, you people, all of you who are trying to, we'll bring it to you as well. Where? Supreme Court makes good its ban on order on lawyer. The Apex Court declines to accord Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi audience when he made efforts to appear before it over a 2 billion shilling land case. They all recused themselves from the case. That was yesterday. It was interesting to watch. Now, remember that school we're talking about, all the issues? All 17 Isongo school teachers to return. Teachers' employer, that's the TSC, rescinds its decision to transfer the tutors after meeting stakeholders at troubled secondary school. Of the troubled secondary school at its Nairobi offices yesterday. The offices we're talking about are the TSC offices. Okay. Isongo school does not have office in Nairobi.
Okay.
All right, on the front page of The Nation. Secrets of Ruto Mudavadi deal. Earthquake 2 years later is now when we're feeling the effects. Okay. More than 1 year to the 2022 general election, Musalia Mudavadi was a leading light of the One Kenya alliance that included Kalonzo Musyoka and Gideon Moi. Unbeknown to his allies, including Raila Odinga of the opposition, Azimio, he was already secretly evening a deal with William Ruto. On April 6th, 2021, he quietly reserved the name Kenya Kwanza Alliance, the outfit that is today the governing coalition. Did you know that?
Okay, no. Now we know.
Now we know. And then...
I don't understand, but okay. I know.
Kenya burns 2 trillion shillings 4 years in advance. As a pointer to how the country is living way beyond its means, a parliamentary report shows for the first time the Consolidated Fund Service expenditure payments for public debt, pension and salaries of constitutional office holders have exceeded the 2 trillion shilling mark, a situation that was not expected until the 2026-2027 financial year.
2 trillion, when are we starting to count? 1963 or last year? Or,
it's 10 years.
You'll read this too.
I will tell you.
In the last 10 years?
Yes, sir. Petition. You might like this one. Why churches should pay taxes on tithe. There's a petition.
Public participation.
Yes, now.
Ask God.
Earning income.
Tithe is not money to churches. Tithe is to God. Are you taxing God?
No, you want to tax God. Don't you have fear? You don't have respect. What's wrong with you?
How?
My friend. World Bank gives Kisumu 1.4 billion shilling facelift. Again, the story of the Supreme Act's casualties of Ahmed Nasir court ban. Stop supremacy battles, Ruto tells Gachagua and Nyoro, behave yourselves. We're not doing like this anymore. Spending on debt, that's what is also covered on the back page of The Nation. And AFCON, of course, is looking very interesting. Côte d'Ivoire was dealt a 4-0 blow yesterday by Equatorial Guinea. And the Pharaohs are fighting to stand in the round of 16 by a very thin thread.
Let me tell you what's on the Business Daily, all right? So just open your calculator, please. I want you to do this math for me.
Say please.
Please.
Okay.
Open your calculator, please. I want you please to do this math for me, please.
Good boy.
Please.
Okay, it's okay now.
Are you ready, please?
Yes, please.
Put 5. 0 0 0
0 0 0
0 0 0
0 0 0
minus
3
0 7 4
0 7 4
335 is
equals to 1 925 665 1,925,665.
Okay.
Yes, please.
If you have a friend who earns 5 million shillings a month, their deductions, tax, NHIF, NSSF, housing, SHIF, all those things are 1 million and
1.9 million.
1.9 million is deducted.
Into taxes.
Yes.
How about that?
Okay. Kenya's top earners are set to take an additional hit of up to 430,000 shillings once all the new tax measures and levies introduced by the government over the past year are factored into their pay slips. The top earners, who are already subject to a higher payee rate on income above 500,000 shillings a month, are now set to see significantly much more once the government starts levying the enhanced SHIF at 2.75% of gross monthly pay. This is what the headline in the Business Daily is saying this morning. Other headline, Kenyan exports to Uganda cross 100 billion shillings on weak shilling. I don't know. What does that mean?
On what?
The value of Kenya's exports to Uganda crossed the 100 billion shilling mark for the first time in November last year, owing to a weak currency that had made the local goods cheaper in the neighboring country. Our shilling is cheaper.
Even to
Uganda.
Yeah, okay.
So they look and they're like, hey, import more.
We can't spend. How much is it?
More. What are they selling, those people?
What are they selling we buy? How much is money?
Official data shows that Kenya exported goods valued at 105 billion to Uganda in the year to November last year, a period that saw the Kenya shilling lose 17.45% of its value against the Ugandan shilling. We are losing against even to Uganda.
Sebo.
1 shilling is equals to 100 million Uganda shillings. Generally, with a weak shilling, the Kenyan products have become cheaper in what is a boon for the local production of iron, steel, and cement that are the main commodities that Kenya exports to the East African neighbor. By the year 2022, a Ugandan trader needed 30 units of their country's shilling to get a Kenyan shilling.
Now?
24.9.
It's gone down by 5. It's cheaper.
You are spending 30.18 to buy 1 shilling.
Kenya shilling?
Yes.
Yes.
Huh?
30 Uganda shillings will buy you 1
One
Kenya shilling. Now, 24.9 Uganda shillings will buy you 1 shilling.
They're using less Uganda shillings to buy Kenya shillings.
Yes.
I have understood it.
Yeah.
See? So then they can now import. Bring it. What are they selling? What are they selling, those people? Mabati, bring. Musumari, bring. Ticker headlines. Nairobi in a tight spot as EAC and European trade deals clash. Kenya's recently completed trade deals could run into stormy waters after Nairobi applied higher import duties on whiskies and wines from the UK and the EU respectively, 2 jurisdictions with which it signed economic partnership agreement. So now they applied higher import duties on these whiskies, and this will hurt Nairobi's trade with East Africa.
Just read that again, please. I'm confused.
I'll read the story later. Okay. It's on page 4. Mobile agency banking cuts ATM to 11-year low. Banks have cut the number of automated teller machines for the 5th consecutive month, taking the overall count to levels last seen over 11 years ago on the continued switch to agency, the internet, and mobile banking. These things of having to putting things on the wall. When's the last time you went to an ATM? City? When did you last go to an ATM?
What is that?
No, I know that. Where?
Joking.
Where?
I love you, City. You see?
I think last month.
Hey.
You went to an ATM?
Yeah.
And you remembered your PIN?
Yeah, I remember my PIN. It's just 4 digits. So difficult to remember.
It is not, eh?
No.
1958.
Something of that sort.
The letters for Muga. M is J6.
I can never understand why it is people concoct these really complicated, which they are most definitively likely to
Because
forget.
anybody can guess what it is, CT.
So let them guess. Kwani?
It's the year he was born.
Yeah, I mean, why is it such a big problem?
Issues.
Is it easier to have a situation where you can easily remember the PIN, or one where you can easily forget the PIN? Which one is easier?
Choose your poison.
Well, it would depend on who's in your company, and they needed you to remember it quickly so that they could rob you of your money. You would hope that you would not remember it. Well, actually, no. You would hope that you would remember it.
It is actually in interest. It's in interest to know.
Remember it so that they take what they need to take and leave you alone. Okay, yeah, this conversation could go south real quick. Okay.
So,
anyway,
why are you asking about the ATM?
It's because banks are no longer doing ATMs.
They have ATMs,
but they're not putting new ones. There was expansion of new ATMs. So the number of ATMs for all the banks have reduced for the 5th consecutive month.
And the reason is because?
Now you have mobile banking, internet banking, agency banking.
Yes.
What are you?
Yes. It is true. But ATM is good.
Yes.
Very useful.
Haya, tupatie hiyo kitu. The star.
Hey, God.
Right. right at the corner top in Till Green. Occultism. Could devil worship be behind Winey's brutal murder?
Good Lord.
It's a new twist to the story, isn't it?
Devil worship.
Yes. This is now story on page 20 of the Star. Okay. Go further down. Focus on work. It's an insult to Kenyans. Ruto speaks on Mount Kenya 2027 succession politics. Gender disparity. 127 state agencies on the spot for failing 2/3 gender test. Okay? Then, bang in the middle of the paper. Let's start with a story that is below the bang in the middle of the paper. Busia woman rep declares war on jiggers.
Okay.
It's a story of the picture of a Busia women's rep, a lady by the name of Catherine Omanyo. She washes a man's feet as she launched the anti-jigger campaign in Katelenyang village in Teso South constituency. Over 100 affected people, including school-going children, were treated.
It's still an issue, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Usually you need to walk barefooted. It helps. If you want to
get
walk
infected.
yes, it helps tremendously. Right, then back in the middle of the paper, Raila succession, Joho, Oparanya, Axis, emerge. Ex-PM celebrated 79th birthday this month. There are doubts about his 6th stab at the presidency. Who has the doubts? Then there's a picture of John Badi, Edwin Sifuna, Wycliffe Oparanya, Hassan Joe, Juliet Mohammed, and Ladama Olekina. So it isn't just Kenya Kwanza. Even ODM
has succession issues.
They have succession issues. So we are told by the Star.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ndu?
Yes.
Tell us about traffic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, a few minutes after 6:30, not really much happening, just a little bit. The Pangani Underpass Tunnel, that's where there's a hold up. Everywhere else, folks are getting where they need to go without any stops so far. If you're coming off the Eastern Bypass, that also is flowing freely. A little bit of something happening right around Githurai heading towards Mweki. So that looks like it'll be stuck for a while. There must be something because it's quite unusual, especially for this time of the day. On Gong Road, it's also starting to pick up with busyness movement as you get then towards the roundabout at City Mortuary. Okay, we'll keep an eye on things as we get towards traffic hour. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Weakening value of the shilling has seen the National Treasury increase allocation for debt repayment by 240 billion shillings.
Wow.
Kenya's annual spending on the Consolidated Fund Services is projected to cross the 2 trillion shilling mark for the first time in the financial year ending June, elevated by the continued fall of the Kenya shilling. The free fall of the local currency, which could hit a low of 166.8 units against the US dollar by June, if not sooner, has seen the National Treasury raise the public debt service budget for the financial year ending June by 240 billion. This has pushed the projected overall CFS spending for the fiscal year to 2.08 trillion. What they're saying is that this has not happened before. Notably, this is the first time the CFS expenditures have exceeded the 2 trillion shilling mark and will account for approximately 13% of GDP. This was not expected to occur until financial year 2026 and 2027, and shows the impact that the exchange rate depreciation on external debt servicing expenditures and increased refinancing pressures from bullet payments from commercial debt, resulting to the rising debt servicing expenditures and accelerating growth in expenditure. Now, this has come from the Parliamentary Public Debt and Privatization Committee. What we are saying essentially is that taking into consideration the fall of the Kenya shilling, in order to access foreign currency, notably the US dollar, which is what most of the loans that Kenya has taken is vested in, you have to spend more shilling for repayment. And because we've seen the Kenya shilling take such a dip, that they've had to spend this much money on debt repayment. So it's not necessarily that you've increased the debt load, but what you've done is that you've increased the shilling that you have to spend in order to purchase what?
The dollars.
And that's why we're seeing these high numbers.
So the impact here is mostly on the debt.
Yes.
From the consolidated funds.
Yes.
Not the pension, not the salaries.
No.
Okay.
And if it continues in this, snowball, there'll be a lot more. They were not expecting this for another 2 years. So if it has happened 2 years early, one can only imagine what would happen in the next 6 months of the FY.
Yeah.
And moving forward just doesn't look pretty at all.
Okay. There's something, I understand why the consolidated fund first charge will be debt, because we have a sovereign obligation. I can also understand why first charge would be a pension, because we have an obligation, a social obligation to those that worked for us for so many years and now they're retirement. I do not understand why state officers in constitutional commissions and independent offices need to be paid a salary before anybody else receives any shilling. I don't get it. Why are those a first charge?
Pay their salaries first.
Yes, people in EACC, state officers in EACC, in constitutional commissions, in independent offices, the Auditor General, the Controller of Budget, the DPP. Those ones get paid their salary first.
Isn't that...
Tulipe China?
Yeah.
Tulipe pension? Tulipe...
But is that not
DPP?
The order of their charge, that you deal with debt and then you deal again with your social obligation, and then thereafter that you deal with recurrent expenditure, of which now salaries and all those things fall in?
But it's not all salaries.
That's the thing.
That are
It's
first
not
charge.
all. It's not all.
It is just independent office holders and state officers in constitutional commissions. Why?
Why? It's a good question.
How much to ensure their independence? Blah, blah, blah. Stories, those ones. Higher. So which one do you want the story? City, you'll tell us the story about the church. I want to tell that story about the church.
Okay, please tell the story about the church. May I tell you the story about how Calro is losing land to land grabbers?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Ednah, there's a gentleman who is based in Nakuru. He's a medic. He's called Magare Kenyi. We get him. This man has gone to court. And in a plea before the High Court in Nairobi, he argues that sections 3(2) of the Income Tax Cap 470 contradict the Constitution, which mandates a fair sharing of the tax burden among all Kenyans and all sectors of the economy. In his petition, Dr. Gikenyi specifically targets Section 13 of the Income Tax Act, which allows certain individuals and entities, including churches, to be exempted from paying income tax. In court papers, Dr. Gikenyi asserts that tithe, offerings, and donations, along with other exempted entities, should be subjected to the same taxation standard to align with the Constitution's principle of fair tax burden sharing. He urges the court to declare excuse me,
bless you,
that section of the law discriminatory and unconstitutional, and therefore null and void. In court papers seen by the nation, the medic now wants the churches included in paying tax, saying that Article 201B of the Constitution makes it mandatory. Dr. Gikenyi has termed Section 13 of the Income Tax as discriminatory. He says, haphazard discrimination of not sharing the tax burden to everyone is increasing the strain to taxpayers in Kenya. In the country, tithe, donations, and offerings are not considered as gains, employment, or rights granted for use of property or any other form of recognized income by the Income Tax Act. However, churches are required to file annual returns, but they are exempted from most taxes as provided for by Section 13 and Paragraph 10 of the first schedule of the Income Tax Act and the Non-Governmental Organization and Coordination Act. paragraph 10 of the first schedule exempts them from paying tax. Institutions, a body of persons or irrevocable trust or a public character. Okay? So this guy is saying, you know what, churches should pay income tax just like everybody else, because the constitution says that there shall be a fair sharing of the tax burden.
Is it an income for them? Is it an income for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tithe and offerings, see, it's money that's coming into the church.
What do they do with it?
Yeah?
What do they do with it?
See, they run the church.
They pay salaries.
Run the
pay,
church.
Sure, they pay salaries, they run the church, but those salaries that they pay also then are subjected to the relevant taxes. Pastors and church staff and all of that.
The Standard Group pays salaries, which are subjected to taxes. But the Standard Group pays corporate tax.
Is the church corporate?
Yeah.
Is any religious organization corporate? Yes, some are, by virtue of their registration. The only difference is that we are told they're not profit making.
And income tax is not about profit. You pay buana.
I sense you're upset.
No, you're right, because if you look at income tax,
fair sharing of
they
the tax
the
burden.
gross, not the net. So my income is the net, really. So, but the tax the gross. You know, sometimes this income tax, man, you look at the money that is being taken, you actually get a headache.
So should churches pay tax? Bottom line.
Yes.
The bottom line of it.
They should. And if they feel they shouldn't, then they should argue their case in court. You know why? This discussion just can't begin and end. Let this matter go to court and let the court interpret whatever it is it needs to interpret so that we understand that there's a precedent for this thing. Okay? Yes. But on the face of it, yes, by all means, let them pay tax.
So then we'll expand it the same way Kenya is saying. So churches, NGOs, foundations as well.
Yes. You see, the argument that is often used is this. When someone gives a tithe, it is from an income they have that has already been taxed. Okay?
Yeah.
So now you give it to the church, the church is taxed. Now that's double taxation.
No, it's not.
You are taxing money that has been taxed. That is double taxation.
No.
What is it? What is it?
It's the same way if you earn a salary today and then you pay your employee.
Yes.
So you deduct a tax for the employee.
Yes.
So is that double taxation?
Yes. Of course it is.
The employee is only paying tax once.
No,
you're not the one who is.
It is
you're
my
not the
money
one.
that is being taxed.
Yeah,
Are you seeing the argument?
No, I am not.
Okay, are you hearing the argument?
No, I am not. City has paid his tax.
Yes.
His employee Eric.
Yes.
Is paying his tax. It's not City who's paying Eric's tax.
I am. If I didn't give you that salary, you would have no money to pay tax.
I like that thought.
Yes.
I must agree. I like you wouldn't be able to pay it had
What
City
tax
not
would he be
given
paying
you
if I
the
didn't give him
money?
the money? It's my money that's being taxed.
Okay.
Yes, and if I give it to the church, you're taxing my money again when you already taxed it.
Okay. So if you do business with the Standard Group today,
yes,
okay,
as I do,
as you do,
yes.
So you do business with Standard. Let's say you're a supplier, right? You as a supplier company, you pay tax, all right? Okay, no, the other way around.
No, start again. You're going to side with me. If you continue with that argument, you're going to side with me. And
you're pushing him in the other direction.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be contradicting what I said. So start again.
He's helping you. He's helping you not to agree with him. Have you seen such a person before? Oh my.
A discussion has to be interesting.
So you supply the Standard Group.
Yes, okay.
Let's say you supply newsprint.
You've started, yes, that's
okay.
Good. Yes.
You, as a supplier of newsprint, you pay tax.
Yes, I do.
Standard Group pays you.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And then you pay tax.
Yes.
Standard Group then pays its employee called Eric.
Yes.
And Eric pays tax.
Yes.
So are we saying that the supplier is the one who's paid the tax?
The reason why what you're saying is very plausible and is actually correct is because this is a business. The rules that we are referring to here are different. When you are a business, profit making rules are different. Okay?
You know, it doesn't mean that a church does not make profit. It's
No.
just that it does not declare or recognize
No,
it
it
as
is not.
profit.
It is not a business. Okay, we have people
a
who.
business, boy.
No, it is not.
It's
It is
not
not.
investment. It's not investment for commercial purposes.
Yes, it's an investment for more serious things.
Heaven-bound spiritual realm kind of
like
things.
the afterlife. Yes.
Things seen not
Look,
heard.
there are people who've given the church a bad name because of their conduct. They have managed to conduct themselves in a way that lends itself to your argument. And yes, it appears like some churches are business entities, but they're actually not business entities. And you give a good example: trust funds, these foundations that people have. They're actually not meant to make profit. The money they receive helps people. So the exemption of tax, I can understand the argument behind it. But you're asking me, is it possible for them to be taxed? By all means. If you want to tax everybody. And if someone feels they shouldn't be taxed, let them look at the law, let them argue their case in court, so that we have a precedent, so that moving forward, when people talk, there's a reference point for what it is you're doing. Because right now, we're on free fall. So, that church enterprise that you're thinking of starting, Eric,
Should churches pay tax?
Churches should pay tax.
You said,
Should they?
should they pay tax?
Yes.
I don't know, man. This needs to be qualified.
Listen.
Who needs to pay tax? Okay, no, wait. In the country.
Your pastor is not listening. Go.
Beg, leave him.
He's in the UK.
He's in the UK. See, the person who... The guidelines that have been set along the lines of who must pay tax, who are those?
Everybody else apart from churches.
How are churches and religious organizations set up, constituted? Are they set up as businesses? Are they set up as corporate entities? Are they set up as social and charitable organizations? I would say that the last one is what they're set up as. Now, social and charitable organizations in this country, as far as I can understand, are tax exempt.
That is what Kenya is going to court to argue, that exemption is unconstitutional.
There is a reason
now, let's
why
argue
it was
on
set
that.
in the first place.
Let's argue on that. Is it constitutional or is it not? There's a reason it was set in the first place. Yeah. There's also a reason why we put it in the constitution and said, let's all have a fair sharing of the tax burden.
So church
if
or
that
not?
if that is the principle, is this law
my pay slip that
aligned
you've
to the
taxed, and I
constitution?
still go and give offering on Sunday, then now from that money you want them to come and tax it again?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's going to be an interesting
It
one.
is not yours anymore. Don't get attached to it. You give it to the
don't
church.
get attached to that money. You've given it out already.
You've given
it's
it
gone.
to the church. Just stop tearing that money at you now. You see,
if I'm a member of that church, I want to know exactly where my money has gone. Even if I give 2 cents, I want to know where it went.
Have you been to church AGMs? One day, if you know that there's an AGM happening and you're bored, just go.
Yes.
Very exciting.
And the discussion is what projects the money has gone into.
Yes.
We are building youth wing. We are building children's block for Sunday school.
Yes.
We are building school, dining hall.
Yes.
And giving to the widows and orphans.
Yes.
You know.
How much have
we
you
are
given?
paying pastors.
How much have you given to Caesar?
We are not obligated to give to Caesar because we are making sure that the lives and souls of the people over which Caesar governs are making it to a better place.
That's the same thing. When you give money to Caesar, Caesar uses that money to do exactly what those things you've said, to make sure that the souls of are well governed.
Caesar should make sure that our children go to school.
But you see, this is the reason why this thing must go to court. And I hope that when it goes to court,
to be argued out for people to understand.
Yes, exactly. And once again, then I hope it is also appealed. Okay? This matter should actually end up in the Supreme Court. Okay? It should be argued on and on and on.
Exhaustively.
Kabisa. So that people contribute, public participation, the works.
Yeah, I agree. I actually do, because when you think about some of these things and the reasons why they were established in the first place, it could be one guy one day who just said it should be thus. And that's how it came about. But what happened?
And uses that morality of telling you, you can't question church. I mean, you're giving it to God. I mean,
we can't run away from some of the crazy amounts of money that church is actually reeling in, raking in every week.
By the time you have church leaders being mentioned as some of the richest people in the country,
for goodness
you have a problem.
Yeah.
One may not think so, but you do have a problem.
True. And when wash invades churches,
then
you also have an issue.
As in, you think it's coming?
No. As in they have already.
As in they have. Okay. Yeah.
Tell us the other story, City.
Aging staff crisis hits Calro as land grabbers have a field day. Calro is the place I should be because here...
they are old people.
Yes, 68% of the employees are aged between 51 and 65. So this is a good place to be.
68%?
Yes, this is according to the Auditor General. That's problem number one. Problem number two, there is no clear succession plan.
Clearly.
Problem number three.
And you have 68% who are...
Yes. They have land that was given to them for purposes of research and other associated activities that Calro engages in. But it is now being determined by the Auditor General that there isn't documentation. So as a result of these things, okay, I have heard what you've said. So as a result of these things, people are grabbing land.
Who people?
All right, let me give you case in point. Okay, the county government of Kisii are constructing the governor's residence, approximately 2 acres of land grabbed, while a cancer center was being constructed in the other parcel estimated to be 1 acre without the consent of the organization.
Wow.
Okay. Now this follows hot on the heels of some squabble that arisen in Nakuru over War Memorial Hospital. Isn't that one?
Yes.
People who were arraigned in court.
Yes.
Court had a different story altogether and said, "Hakuna kitu kama hiyo." This thing is not what you guys are saying. First of all, County Government of Nakuru, get out.
Get out.
This is not your property. It's private.
But that thing was a horrible invasion.
And you saw they frog marched the administration of this hospital to court, and they said, they argued these guys had forged documents. Court looked, listened, said, "Excuse me.
Excuse me, what are you talking about?
You guys out.
Out.
It's not your land."
Who runs War Memorial?
Yeah.
War Memorial for the longest time, now I'm speaking as somebody who grew up in Nakuru many years ago, was always a private hospital. I don't know. This hospital...
Privately owned, or is it owned by an organization?
It's a trust, I think, that was set up. And so you'll find there's a board of trustees. And this is so that it is handed over into posterity, into perpetuity.
Okay.
That sort of thinking.
Okay.
But there's 25 acres. And you know, it's in a really ideal spot in Nakuru. Okay. So someone, I think, has been eyeing this thing for the longest possible time.
Someone called county.
I don't know who that person is.
Someone called private.
Private developer, I don't know who. The county officials usually are sent. Them, they are told, you, go. County askaris, you, go. But this issue of land invasion, it looks like it's a story that's catching on, gathering momentum. Government land, whether there's documentation or not, private land with the leases, when the leases are about to expire or even if they haven't expired, you are finding that stories are emerging more and more of people who have gone to the extent of even going to Ardhi House to concoct all manner of things so that the lease and other documentation that pertain to that land are skewed in their favor. So it's like it's a season that has opened up for anything that's called land, whether it's government or privately owned, to be acquired by people who are determined to acquire it by whatever means possible.
But that issue of Calro, they should look into it.
That needs to be sorted out.
You need to get younger researchers being interested in working at Calro. You can't say that over 60% are 50 and above.
68.
68% are 50 and above.
Are 51 and above.
Yes.
As in they're within just the final decade of retirement.
And so then what happens to continuity? What happens to innovation? What happens to strategy for future practice and policy?
See what happens with these things. It's a government entity funding. When Kilifi, we had a similar story and we were talking about it. And we asked what happened. Said no funding. The thing is folded.
News time then, 7.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has broken his silence on the heated succession politics presently going on in Mount Kenya region that has dragged in some of his allies and the Kenya Kwanza government's top men. This comes as different sections of leaders from the expansive region want Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua dropped as President Ruto's running mate in the 2027 general election and replaced with either Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro or Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki. The head of state, speaking when he officially opened the Gilgil Technical and Vocational College in Nakuru County, condemned the taxation talks, stressing that current leaders should instead focus on fulfilling their promises and commitments to Kenyans. The Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is embarking on a 3-day official visit to Beijing, China. The Kenyan delegation will actively engage with senior government representatives during the visit, which is being organized at the invitation of Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, with the goal of promoting mutually beneficial trade, investment and security collaboration. According to a press release by Salim Swale, the Prime CS's Director of Press, China, a key partner of Kenya, continues to lead the way with impactful infrastructure projects that benefit many Kenyans. And the Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has refuted claims suggesting a rift between the political outfit and the party's Director of Elections and Campaigns, Suna East MP Junet Mohammed. This comes after the party summoned the National Assembly Minority Whip to explain his noticeable absence from ODM and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya events over the recent past, failure to which he will reportedly be stripped of his position. Even though the Suna East MP has yet to respond to the same, a few of the party's top political leaders have come to his defense, including former Mombasa governor and deputy party leader Hassan Joho. And controversial preacher Paul Ntenge Mackenzie and 94 other people accused of terrorism and radicalization in Shakahola have denied all the 238 charges leveled against them by the state. According to a statement by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the 95 suspects were charged with 238 counts of manslaughter. They appeared before Mombasa Chief Magistrate Alex Ituku, where they denied committing the offences between January 2021 and September 2023 in Shakahola area in Malindi, Kilifi County. And the Teacher Service Commission has agreed to redeploy teachers to St. Gabriel Isongo Secondary School, Kakamega County. The change in tune came about after a meeting between the teacher's employer and members of parliament from Western Kenya, who unequivocally apologized over the forceful ejection of the school's principal that led to TSC's decision to transfer all teachers from the school. Mumias East MP Peter Salasia Tuesday led legislators from the region on the truth-seeking mission at the TSC's headquarters in Upper Hill, Nairobi. And the controversial Ihite Ndunyu Njeru Road, set to connect Nyandarua and Nyeri counties, may finally be constructed despite opposition from conservationists who moved to court in 2009 to oppose the planned construction. Following an environmental and social impact assessment, the Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service and the National Environment Management Authority initially withheld approval for the Kenya National Highways Authority to proceed with the project, citing that the decision was based on the potential disruption of the Aberdeen ecosystem. NEMA has since written to Kenya approving the construction with the caveat that the width of the road be reviewed downwards from 40 to 25 meters, specifically in areas traversing the Aberdares Forest Reserve and National Park. Internationally, Turkey's parliament is widely expected to approve Sweden's NATO membership, clearing the biggest remaining hurdle to expanding the Western military alliance after 20 months of delay. Turkey's General Assembly, where President Tayyip Erdogan's ruling alliance holds a majority, is set to vote on the application that Sweden first made in 2022 following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Once Parliament has ratified the move, Erdogan would be expected to sign it into law within days, leaving Hungary as the only member state not to have approved Sweden's accession. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock, and let's see what's happening on these Nairobi streets. Heading in and out into the CBD, there's movement on the Thika Superhighway, so that looks all right. Still have that issue coming in from Githurai, and that has stuck for a while. What's causing that traffic, we do not know. But right after that, you'll have some smooth movement out towards Garden City. So we're looking at a tricky spot from Githurai out past Clayworks and then getting on to the Mwiki Junction. So something's going on there, not quite sure. Inbound traffic is at a standstill. So please give us a shout if you're in that area so we can at least share the information with people. On Kiambu Road, it's busy. We're also looking at bumper to bumper on Limuru Road getting to the city. Coming in from Gara out towards the Globe Cinema overpass, that's also sticky this morning. So let's see what Tuesday pans out to be. On the southern side, it doesn't look too bad. It looks good on the southern bypass. And on the eastern bypass, we're all right. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X as we try to do what? Keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room,
7 minutes
the only way to...
How are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of The Situation Room. Happy Wednesday. It's the 24th day of January 2024. It's not the last Wednesday of January.
Unfortunately.
No, we still have many more Wednesdays before the end of this month.
Hey. Every day of the week, every day of every week this month had 5 days except Fridays.
Every day had 5 days. Really?
Every week had, okay, get it like this. There were 5 Mondays, 5 Tuesdays, 5 Wednesdays, 5 Thursdays, and 4 Fridays in January this year. That's why there's so many. Usually there are 4. Except in July. These ones are 7.
This one's buona. Hey, have you been here? You haven't. By the way, so the expressway guys opened the new exits at
Haile Selassie
into Uhuru Park, and then you branch off. So now MPs, like those ones who come from the side,
the upper side of the city,
they just exit there and then they chapa like this and then they enter Bunge. Right? People who are going to Upper Hill, the same. Moja Expressway started that work just the other day when we were watching. And they finished. They've done an exit, elevated one. They have done a station. They have done a building there that's housing their offices. Complete, done, dusted, moved, opened, start using. There were guys who were given a contract to dig up this road of ours here.
They dug it.
Mombasa Road.
They dug it.
The old road. Now because the Chinese have finished their road, now let's recarpet this other one down here. They are still doing it. They have not painted the road. They dug outside our gate.
Why are you shouting?
They took off.
I said Enterprise Road here is 10 years old in the making.
And it's still incomplete.
I'm actually using the example of the expressway, below the expressway, because they're related. Those are cousins. No, brothers.
Okay. But remember the story we were told when the expressway was being built, that no sooner had they finished the expressway, they will ensure any damage that has been caused or brought about by the building of the expressway would be sorted out.
See, it's still sooner.
Yes.
The way somebody can tell you, I'll be here at 6, and they come at 6:58, they'll tell you it is still 6.
Yeah, and they were even given an amount.
9 billion.
Yes.
Initially we were told 8 billion. Kipchumba came and said, 8 billion, hatuna hiyo pesa, but unajua tunalipa madeni. He reduced it to 3 billion. He gave out contract to 2 companies. One from the end to somewhere in the middle.
And the other one
from the middle to the other end. None of those companies.
Eric, even that 9 billion, they were contractors who had been given money for that thing, and we were told they'd stop. What you find is there's an ancient pickup that is parked right out our gate. It's very old. And then there's a certain earth mover. It's also permanently parked there. So I assume that there's something spiritual about those two vehicles.
Our next guest is a member of parliament. What we are doing indirectly is sending him to ask this question on our behalf in parliament and ask, Mambo.
Surely. Must there always be an issue?
They even told us, in fact, I can't forget, they told us roadworks to begin on the 4th of November to be completed by the 11th of November. I don't know which miracle they were going to use to do it in 1 week, but hey.
Here we are.
Robert Basil Ngui is the MP for Yatta constituency. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
How are you?
Eric. Me, I'm well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you?
Safi sana. Karibu to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you. Why not call it seat?
We don't do cold power here. We don't do cold power. So you get our message.
Yes,
go there and
I'm told the road has stayed more than enough. And that is worrying.
Yes.
Maybe the contractors may not have the capacity to do the job. So you think it's not about the capacity?
If the contractor does not have the capacity, then the procurement committee should go to committee.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because they give a job to somebody who does not have the capacity.
It is their job to ensure that whoever they give the job has the capacity. And if that person doesn't, don't even bother taking them to court. Just take them to committee direct.
Just tell them, kaini hapo committee.
That's an interesting one. But how come the Chinese are able to deliver on time? That's a question.
That's the question you ask. Okay? That's the question. That's the question I want you to ask. And then go and ask. Between the Kitengela turnoff and Machakos turnoff,
yes,
that road was commissioned in 2017. It's incomplete.
To date.
Between ABC Place and the turnoff to Maimahiu, that road is incomplete. The number of people who've died, pedestrians, trying to cross the road because you have no flyover, no pedestrian crossing, nothing.
Even the markings there.
No road markings.
Nada.
Those are the questions, please.
No, that's when you're right. Because I used to use the road when I used to work in Uganda. And apparently when you drive, even there are no sign, like the signage, sometimes they leave this
road is under construction.
Debris on the road. So you come at night and visibility, particularly because of the fog,
is
limited. And then you find yourself, you bump into these debris and your car gets damaged and no one to repair for you.
Yep.
So I think your questions are valid.
Yeah.
And I need to follow it up in Parliament.
There's a child who crosses one side of the road and goes to the other side of the road to school. Okay?
Yes.
That child is in grade 1 or grade 2. That child thinks that's how a road should look like. Because all their life,
that's what they've seen.
Is what they know to be a road.
And those roads are wider now. So it means crossing is more hazardous.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. And I've noted even some people are trying to remove those, the continuous, the blockage they use.
Yes.
So there are quite a number of people, since they want to cross to the other side, they try to find their way in.
They do find a way.
Yes, even some with the motorbikes. And you can imagine you are here, you want to use, someone is using a motorbike to cross to the other side, and the same person is ferrying another person. So it's a very complicated issue and very risky for that matter. So you are very right, and it means we are not professionals the way we are doing our things.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the show. City will give you the day's proverb. Listen to it. Every week, City goes to one African country.
Yes.
He scouts for proverbs in that country, and every day he brings a new proverb. This week, he is in the Kingdom of Morocco.
Yes. This is the proverb. If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once.
If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once. Mheshimiwa Robert Ngui, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
An interesting one. It's like in marriage. When you are marrying a lady, culturally, we are not supposed to pay her the bride price. So you pay partially. It's a way to tell you need to be coming home all the time. But you see, if you pay once, like once you complete everything, it means is you are separated yourself with that family. So in other words, you need to leave some tracks.
Very good.
That's exactly what that proverb means. In the same way they say you don't bury or you don't destroy your bridges, meaning where you are coming from, you may be forced to go back. So when that proverb exactly tells you so. It's like when you three of you are friends. So assume you move, you need to remain, you need to ensure you don't part in a bad way. Because tomorrow he may need you, you may need him. And that is the mystery of life.
That is very true indeed.
It is.
Yes.
I had actually interpreted it differently, or translated it differently first. If you have a friend, like that friend you call honey.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, just arrange yourself.
All right. So first, there are many people who don't know where Yatta is.
Yes.
Tulisoma shule Yatta Plateau.
Yes.
Yatta Plateau.
Yes.
What is it?
You know, the plateau, when you talk of the plateau, it stretches all the way from Machakos and it goes beyond Machakos to Kitui. And if you talk of Yatta, the constituency is from Nairobi, is about 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, depending on the vehicle you're driving. It's an ASAL region by all the characteristics of an ASAL region. Although, unfortunately, we were almost knocked off the ASAL categorization. And even recently, I initiated the request to the Minister of Agriculture to review the constituency to be put back to ASAL region. Yatta is also endowed with a number of minerals. You know, we have the granite stones, we have the marble stones, we have the ballast stones, the largest deposit. Yet, majority of my constituents are poor. They are not able to feed
largest deposits of
granite stones, the marble stones, and also the ballast stones. That's why you find, if you go in all the 5 wards, you'll find all these stones. But majority of my people were poor. When you look at the soil, we have the best soil. Actually, if Israelis were to come to Kenya, I think they'd go to Yatta to pick the best soil for agriculture. But few of our people are able to do agriculture.
Why?
Because we are dependent on rainfall, rain-fed agriculture. The Yatta Canal, which was dug back in, I talk of 50s, the time of colonial period, still serves few people, but yet many are not served by this particular canal. And it gets water from Thika River. The Thika River, sometimes the water level goes down. And when it goes down, the supply to the canal also goes down. The other important thing people need to know, Yatta is earmarked for Yatta Dam. The Yatta Dam, myself, I pushed for it to be gazetted. It was among the 35 dams that were gazetted. But up to date, the contractor has never begun work. We are even asking, instead of affordable housing, why can't the president prioritize the lodging of these dams? Remember, today, Kenya is a net importer of what we use. We're importing all the food we consume, most of the food we consume. And if you are the net importer of food, what does that mean? Your shilling will continue being weak because you are exporting almost nothing. So the balance of trade will remain negative. If you look at Yatta, the people of Yatta, I would say the industrious, the people who are interested to be able to, to be innovative, to do quite a number of things, to contribute to the economy. But they're not empowered, they're not supported. So population-wise, I have about 300,000 people, registered voters, about 80,000 people. The constituency is so expansive because I'm bordering Gatanga constituency on the upper side, I'm bordering Thika constituency on the other side, I'm bordering Masinga on the lower side, Kitui on the other side, that's Kitui Rural, and on the other side, near Adhiriv, I'm bordering Mwala constituency. If you fuel your car when I was campaigning, from one corner of the constituency to the other, you'll find if you are using, let's say, a V8, by the time you cross on the other side, it's blinking, needing more fuel. So it tells he's an expansive constituency and it's not a walk in the park. It needs someone who is ready if you really want to do campaigns. Yes.
And yet, these are not new issues that we talk about.
Yes.
The issues faced in this area are, can that idea or that reality is replicated around the country.
Yes.
And so what we are looking at now then is it possible to have a hybrid system whereby politicians who must do their politicking in order to remain alive can still also do their job when it comes to what happens legislatively, as well as representation, and as well as oversight. Because it doesn't make sense, for example, that for 30 years, I mean, just look at how ridiculous it sounds, that for 30 years, a contractor, and again, the same thing we see all over the place, right here outside the gate, behind here, different parts of the country, that a contractor has been on ground and for 30 years has not done anything. And it's okay. Because if it was not okay, something would have been done about it. So what we are assuming now is that members of parliament who legislate, who oversight, who represent, see the situation and it's okay.
They keep quiet.
No, they don't. It's okay. They're keeping the silence means it's all right. Because if they didn't feel that it was all right, we would hear them making some noise. We would see some kind of movement, some kind of agitation. We would see that there would be insistence on getting things done.
Case in point, when there was a delay in CDF, did you see?
Oh, yes.
Did you hear?
Yeah. So when it comes to the things that when we go, you talk about fueling a vehicle from one end to the other. At that point, when Kenyans were being told, give me your vote, give me your vote, why don't we see the same fervor and vim when things are not going right to say, fix this road, feed this child, stock this hospital?
Now, what you are saying is right. And I think the problem goes to, I would say, myself as a legislator and others. You find, if you go to parliament today, the parliament is divided. We have the Azimio, we have the Kenya Kwanza. And most of the Azimio members, actually we have few now are left with Azimio. You find some are now daring of the Kenya Kwanza. And when you reach a point where instead of deliberately questioning the government, regardless of which side of the party you are in, you find some people feel, when I tell the government this is not right, it's like you're fighting the government. That is a kind of message, and that is where majority of the legislators are keeping quiet. The Kenya Kwanza team are those who are affiliated from Azimio to Kenya Kwanza. They are like, they want to please the president all the time. Instead of telling the government, here you are failing, here you're not doing your job. When you talk of the CDF, you know CDF, it is one of the funds where when you move to whole constituencies, you can really see what the CDF has done. And for many people who don't understand, 99% of CDF goes for development. Only 1% pays salaries. The other funds that have been devolved, most of it goes to pay salaries. And if you talk of before Kibaki got to power in 2002, CDF used to be there, but not CDF. It used to be Latiff, the money which used to be channeled through county government and also through the ministries. Yes. And we could rarely see anything on ground. The school infrastructure was in deplorable state. If you go today, most of the constituencies, the 290 constituencies, if you use constituencies as a standard measure of development, you can see something that has been done with the CDF. And that is where we tell people, CDF, as much as people think is members' parliament, MPs' money, it's not MPs' money. Talk of bursaries. Today, most of the poor are supposed to take their kids to school. What is happening? With the delayed disbursement of CDF money, the poor, their kids are at home. By the rich, their kids have gone to school. And when you go to the constituency, people asking you, Mheshimiwa, what is happening? So the pressure mounting from the people, and also you as a person, seeing that most of my constituents and most of the poor, their kids are at home. It doesn't need a genius to tell you, go and say enough is enough. We need the money. And that is why you see MPs saying we need the money. Mm-hmm. When it goes back to what you have indicated, one of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, as a state officer, someone who has a duty to deliver services equitably across the country, you think like a tribal person. You think I'm supposed to deliver, take resources to where I come from. If I tell you, I can give you a good example, Thika Super Highway. It was done by Kibaki. The reason for Thika Superhighway was to decongest and ensure free or smooth flow of traffic. What is happening? Today is congested. Why? You find someone coming from Nyeri wanting to go to Mombasa. All of them are getting themselves to the Thika Superhighway. When, if there was no tribalism, we have another road that can connect from Gatanga, cutting across my constituency through a place we call Makuyu, gets all the way to Kitui, and then you join Mombasa, Nairobi Highway. And someone who has no business coming to Nairobi can use that road as an alternative. And that's how you decongest the road. But no one will pump money there, thinking that is an Azimio area. Well, in the actual sense, instead of you looking at your country and understanding how, if I do this, what will be the ripple effect? If that road, like the one I'm mentioning, joining Nyeri, Nairobi Nyeri, was tarmacked all through, cutting across Yatta constituency, cutting across Kibwezi, Kitui, Kibwezi, you join the Mombasa-Nairobi highway, then you'll have decongested your Thika Superhighway by a big margin. But today, everyone, even people with no business in Nairobi, are forced to use that road. Now you beat the logic. The motive for the superhighway was to ensure smooth flow of traffic. Today, all the time, is jammed with the cars. And it is not that road alone. There are quite a number of other roads. But the people who are responsible of designing where to tarmac, they are having the tribal mindset with them. They think if I put money here, I'm benefiting these people who did not vote for president. And that is the kind of thinking we have. If you go to advanced economies, I used to stay in Denver in the United States. I asked them, what did you do to ensure all the roads are tarmacked? They told me, when you collect taxes here, it is commensurate with the services. And they don't care. Doesn't matter where you come from or which area you represent, but you direct money where there is need. That is lacking in Kenya. And it tells you why those roads you are mentioning have remained that way for long. We have many areas with a lot of potential, but money is never pumped there to unlock that potential. I've given you an example of Yatta. Today, I saw the other day, I was even questioning the DC, who is actually becoming political. Why are you bringing relief food? You are giving people 3 kilos. A 3 kilogram of rice and beans, you are giving to a household of about 10. How many days are these people going to eat this food? It's one meal, and you are calling it relief food. You know? And the same people you are giving that 3 kilogram, they are spending 400 shillings to come and collect 3 kilogram. I told them this is a joke, and we have to be serious, you know? Because what is the logic? Instead of giving them relief, why don't you unlock the potential? Invest money in those dams and then direct the water flow into Indian Ocean to those dams to support irrigation. You know?
Do conversations such as this happen within the walls of the Legislative Assembly? Do they actually?
Unfortunately, we are not given the room to discuss some of these issues.
What does that mean?
The reason being, like for example, I'll give you an example, and it's something I even raised with the Speaker.
Yeah.
Myself being the chair for first-time MPs in Kenya, when I go to Parliament, it was shocking. You slot that card for you to speak. You can stay there the whole day without being given a chance to speak.
What does that mean? Somebody did not see the card,
No,
did not go in the right
they use
slot,
this- they use
pick the
this-
slot and decide they're not going to give
Sometimes they use one. They are those they refer as ranking members. Someone who has served more than one term. They are prioritized when it comes to speaking in Parliament.
Why are they prioritized?
They call them standing orders, and we said we need to revise this because we are all equal to the eyes of people who elected us. But unfortunately, it's happening in our Kenyan Parliament. When it comes to speaking, sometimes now when the house is divided between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, they may say these are Azimio people. Whatever they're going to say is negative to the government. So instead of allowing you, giving you a free chance to speak, they deliberately deny you that chance.
By giving it to somebody else.
Yeah, you slot your card. And you know, Mwananchi is watching, doesn't understand what's going on. The other day, I found a discussion taking place in Parliament where a very essential bill was being discussed. And the House was having like 4 people.
4 people?
4 people. Then I told them, my friends, even our standing orders are clear. It has to be 2/3 of members of Parliament. How come a very essential bill is discussed by 3 people? They told me, Basil, if you don't want to listen, to sit and contribute, leave. Then I told them, look, first, it's wrong to have 3 people deliberating on a bill because it's it's against our standing orders. Number 3, I told them, why are you hurrying the bill? Why can't we wait when everyone is there to contribute? You see, I was not given a chance even to hear my voice.
When the president came to Parliament just a couple of months ago, were there 3 people in Parliament?
It was full house. Okay. But you see, when he made his statement, what happened? Was there any room to ask questions? He made a very long speech and then he left.
Then you had time to discuss it.
We had time to discuss
Thereafter.
it. And if you listen to my clip, my contribution to that speech, I was clear. I told the president the speech was long and boring. And I had the reason why I told him it was long and boring. Because there was nothing tangible out of the speech. You see, you need to tell your citizens, it's better to have 4 points. Instead of having so many points, and yet they don't resonate to the people you are representing. Remember our country today. The other day I was telling people, don't even focus on the dollar. Look at the local currencies, how they are performing against our currency. Kenya shilling today is exchanging 50 shillings to the Tanzanian shillings. Uhuru left it when it was exchanged 22 shillings. Uganda shillings, Kenya shilling to Uganda, before Uhuru left office was at 35 shillings. Today is at 24 shillings. So what does that tell you? We are not doing well. There was a lot of focus to dollar, and we forgot to even reevaluating our currency, how it is performing against the local currencies.
Let's take a break, Mheshimiwa. We'll continue this conversation shortly. Robert Basil Ngoi is the MP for Yatta constituency. In which county is it? Is it in Kitui or Machakos?
Machakos County.
It's in the border. It's the borders.
I'm bordering Kitui. I'm bordering Kiambu. And
a bit of Muranga.
Yes.
Gatanga is in Muranga, right?
Yes, Muranga, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's a big constituency. We are talking about the role of leadership in the country. Mheshimiwa, let me give Undu something to give you. Before Professor Njuguna Ndongo gives him money for bursaries,
you know what this is?
We can support him.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yes.
so yes, exactly. Everybody's waiting for CDF money to come out. People are waiting for bursaries. People cannot go to school, etc. So here's a way that you can actually help. Kiwi. Walk into any supermarket today where kiwis, but you need to buy the one with this logo that has this starburst. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the one you'll buy in the shop, not this one. Do not open it. The one you buy in the shop. Right? When you pop the lid, there's a code under the lid. You're going to dial this number, *459 *5#. Right? When you do that, you'll get airtime or data. What you'll also do is that you'll get a chance to enter into a draw. 4 people are winning 35,000 shillings. You know what this 35,000 shillings does? School fees. Direct. To the school where this child is. Because you bought Kiwi. That helps, no?
Nice.
Like that.
Yes.
Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way. A better Africa.
Step up and shine. It's that time of the year to win big with Kiwi. Stand a chance to win school fees worth 35,000 Kenya shillings weekly and instant airtime or data. Here is what you simply need to do. Visit your nearest store, buy any participating Kiwi tin with a fabulous new design nationwide. Dial star 459 star 5 hash, enter the unique code you'll find under the lid, and you could be the next winner. Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes. Terms and conditions apply.
When you are born from African soil, you are born rich, rich in who you are, with a natural richness from Mother Nature herself, just like our still mineral water, which is naturally filtered through Kenyan lands and made rich by a perfect blend of nature's minerals, giving you premium still mineral water made by the same African soil that made you. Keringet, own your richness. Keringet, a product of the Coca-Cola Company.
It's sunny in Nairobi. It's 13 degrees. CT was right. Actually pretty crispy today. Highs of 25 and lows of 13. It's sunny at 15 in Nakuru, going to highs of 27 and 10, and sunny in Nyeri, going to highs of 27. It's 11 degrees and partly sunny in Eldoret. We'll see highs of 24, and looking into a mostly cloudy Mombasa at 25, and a hazy, partly sunny Malindi at 26. Yes, there's a haze over Kisumu skies at 20, going to highs of 29. And hazy in Kakamega as well at 18 with highs of 28. Looking into a cloudy Kampala at 19, we'll see highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam at 26 is cloudy, we'll see highs of 30. 14 degrees in Johannesburg and sunny with highs of 27, while Mogadishu is at 27, going to highs of 33. Addis Ababa at 12 is sunny with highs of 24. Clear skies in Lagos at 26 with highs of 33, and it's mostly clear at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 33.
Very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel again and enjoy.
Yes, coming off the Thika Superhighway, still quite heavy as you're coming from Githurai and then out towards Clay City. I'm not quite sure what's causing that still, but we need to hear from you folks to let us know what is popping there. On Rilo Dinga Way, getting through towards the City Mortuary roundabout on Gong Road, there's a little bit of traffic and it's holding up as you get in from that junction. Going towards Aerodrome also, as folks are trying to get onto Huru Highway, that's going to slow down just a bit. Outer Ring is starting to pack up at your junctions, and it's heavy right around Gara, getting towards the Globe Cinema overpass. Still looking at heavy traffic, bumper to bumper, coming in from Survey, as well as on Kiambu Road this morning. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we go through the morning, and we'll talk on Spice FM, KE on X.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Conversation continues for the next 21 minutes with the MP for Yatta constituency in Machakos County, Robert Basil Ngui. You've told us many things about, what you see as a first-time member of parliament and what you're encountering. As we continue the conversation, first of all, I'll tell you about water. You've told us about the natural resources of Yatta, which include what, number one?
Magnesium.
No, Yatta.
Yatta. Sorry, granite.
Granite.
Granite, not groundnut.
I said, you want granite. I said granite.
There's granite. There's what else?
The marble stones.
Marble.
There is ballast stones.
Yes.
Soapstone.
No. And you have not even gone to the sand. Sand is also a natural resource.
Oh,
it is very
properly managed in terms of when you're exploiting.
Kenya is full of those
And we have also water. Water is a natural resource because I have water flowing to Indian Ocean. Because the river cuts through my area as well. Then I have the Thika river
also.
Remember, Thika river is what takes water to the the hydroelectric
seven
falls. So if you look at all that, the water supply, then you ask yourself, why do we have citizens who are not able to feed themselves? And for your information, I might be the first MP. There's a technology we have tried to innovate, which is locally, it is a mode of renewable energy or green energy. Why am I saying is a green energy mode of technology? It does not use electricity, the pump we are making, does not use solar, does not use diesel, does not use petrol. It uses pressure and volume. So this pump, basically, we create a granted along the flowing river. And then we install the pump there, which is locally fabricated by the welders. And then you can be able to pump water to any place in terms of the distance you choose. You only play around with the pressure and volume. So I'm doing it, actually. I'm taking water to schools using CDF. Yes, working. At the other time when I made my proposal to the CDF board, they were shocked. The whole board had to come to my constituency to see what I'm telling them before they could approve my proposals.
That board is full of people who didn't take physics seriously in school.
Yes, maybe. And then I told them, look, with this, you'll even assume at some point you stop the CDF. These people will be able to sustain themselves. And these are the kind of resilience building programs that Kenya needs. So I'm taking water to schools, and once I get water to schools, then I also distribute all the water to go to the communities for them to be able to use for small farming. And if we were doing it at large scale, particularly when we get the dam, which will now sustain water flow throughout the seasons, then you are assured my community will be food secure. But what is going on in Kenya? There's a lot of talking, but when it comes to actions, most of our priorities are upside down. We all know what is the priority now of our government: affordable housing. And you ask yourself, if you go to the rural areas, how many people sleep in the streets? The percentage is like zero.
It's negligible.
Yeah, most of the people have their own homes. It's only that the standards vary.
But they have a home.
They have a home. So instead of pushing or forcing people to have affordable housing, why don't you analyze the needs of your people and prioritize them based on the realities of each particular area? If you come to urban areas, there you can talk of affordable housing within the slum areas, but still you need to do it in a way that resonates with the people. We saw a program that was being spearheaded by UN Habitat some years back of slum upgrading. What happened? They constructed the houses, but the people who were supposed to stay in those houses, they sold the houses and went back to the slums. So when you hear someone pushing strongly for affordable housing without engaging the citizens and understanding what are the needs of these people, then you start smelling a rat. You say something maybe is behind what we see. But if we were to prioritize and pump money to where it's needed to unlock the potential of this country, you will create those employment you are talking about, and you make your people to be self-reliant, and eventually you'll have a progressive country as opposed to what we are seeing.
I see very many smokes and mirrors in these conversations that we keep having and what I keep hearing from our leaders. So, for instance, we have in the National Assembly alone 290 members elected from a constituency such as yourself, 45 elected from a county as women representatives, 10 nominated, 345 people who go to the National Assembly. They're expected to work in the National Assembly every day, representing, legislating, oversighting, plus others in some areas, helping with development through CDF and other funds. But what we hear often is a conversation about the division in the House and a focus on what the government is doing or is not doing. What Parliament is doing or is not doing seldom becomes the conversation. And I go back into what Ndu was asking earlier. So as elected leaders who have a responsibility to your constituents, to the people and the Republic of Kenya, a constitutional responsibility, you swore an oath, and we all saw you saying conscientiously.
Yes.
That oath says that you need to do something for the Republic. It is not true that the bulk of the budget that you passed in Parliament is going to housing. It is not true. It is not true that the bulk of money that you passed in Parliament is not going into some of these areas that you're talking about. You passed a budget. You had opportunity to discuss a budget at committee level, at the whole house, come and talk to your constituents before you pass that budget and allocate money. And then thereafter follow up on what that money is doing. So when I hear members of Parliament from Yatta, from everywhere, coming here and pointing fingers and saying, but you see now, we need this, for example, in my area, we need this in my area, we need this from the... I ask you, what have you done about that?
In the budget.
Yes.
Good
because
question.
Everything is all about budget.
Yes.
And then you follow it up with, this was the plan. If the National Treasury has come with a medium-term strategy, is your issue in the medium-term strategy? Is it being funded in a budget? Is it being implemented as per budget?
You know, it's easier said than done.
I would imagine.
When you are making the budget, there is a process which is followed.
Yes.
And not all our inputs are taken on board in the budget.
Of course.
And remember what I said, the divisions between the Kenya Kwanza, the ruling party, and the other coalitions. Sometimes you find what interests the ruling party, it is what goes to the budget. People sit, deliberate for many weeks, months in hotels, expensive hotels, but the final product, it's crafted at the house in the hill. What is presented to us sometimes is not what passed or what came out of the committee. And that is the unfortunate scenario. You find the whipping, you hear someone is whipped. Those groups where, like, let's say now the majority party, that is the UDA, the Kenya Kwanza, they are told this is what the priority of the government, regardless of what came out from other people's representatives, that is elected leaders. When it comes to the floor, the whole whip has been done from the speaker all the way, because they're all aligned to the ruling party. The rest, you are just there making noise. And then the vote which is taken in Parliament, where the highs have it, then you are there watching, and then you are completely frustrated. That is exactly what happens. But if we meant well for the country, where you don't care which party you belong to, we would have a budget that resonates with the needs and the wishes of the people.
Are you saying that a majority of MPs don't mean well for the country?
Majority of them, they are more to what their parties tell them. And that is particularly the ruling party. And I've told you categorically, I'm saying it as it is. Where you see this is right, but you don't do it. Look at what happened. We passed 2 budgets. The first budget was done in June. Then there was a supplementary budget. And as of today, do you know we don't even have a penny for development programs? Particularly if you talk of it like the CDA. We don't have any penny for that. Most of the ministries, they are still talking, where is the money? So what was the purpose of having a very ambitious budget when you don't have the money? Why can't you have a thin budget which you know for sure you'll be able to implement?
Okay. So, if what you're saying, you're not the only one to have said this.
Yes.
You're not the only one to have complained about this particular process.
Yes.
In the House. But in order for us to get some insight, let me ask the flip side of the question so that we can then now know where we are. Because it's the people of Kenya who are going to be like, wait a minute, this is actually not happening in the way in which it ought to. Then perhaps we need to rethink our decisions. But okay,
correct.
Here's the question. If the switch was flipped, and those who are in opposition today are in the ruling party,
yes,
would the same thing be happening? Would we still not see that it is those who are in the majority that have their way, that it is those who are in the majority then who are able to control the budget? It doesn't matter which party you are in. So long as you are in the majority, this practice is what happens in Parliament. Is that what we are saying?
What you are saying, unfortunately, it could be the same.
Okay.
Let me be honest to you.
Okay.
Although, it all again depends who is head of state. I'll give you a reference to the time when Kibaki was the president of Kenya. It is the only time when delegated authority was working, where you don't micromanage or interfere with independent government institutions. During that particular period, you could see a budget to some extent which was resonating with what people want to see. But today, we don't have that independence. You find, as much as this is what we want, the top man, what he indicates or what he wants is what takes precedence. You saw a situation whereby the executive took 2.4 trillion out of 3.6. Then you ask yourself, what development programs sits in the executive? Almost nothing. But if you go to other economies where people are patriots and they think about the citizen and the country as a whole without caring which part of the country did I get votes, where I did not get votes, where you are delivering to the people to ensure your country moves forward and you uplift people from poverty, like what the Chinese did in the 90s. Those budgets, they are done in a way that the situation on the ground is integrated in those budgets. But when you come to our country, that's not the case.
So the three major themes under which members of parliament fall,
yes,
for representation, legislation and oversight, are not happening.
It is happening, but not to the...
For the benefit of the people. Remember, for the benefit of the sovereign.
Not to the degree we expect it to happen.
We can even talk about expectations, but at the very bare minimum.
Yes.
At the very bare minimum, because of what you're saying, what you've said is that there is power that's being usurped from the hands of an arm of government that ought to work in tandem with the executive and the judiciary. But that is not happening. And it is at this place that we see that the will of the sovereign then comes to life. But that is not happening.
Let me tell you, when you talk of representation, it doesn't stop at parliament. Like what I'm doing now is part of representation. Telling the citizens
that this thing is not working.
How the situation is. Because people need to understand where is the problem. Otherwise, if you don't understand the problem, you'll not solve the problem. Because it's like when you go to a doctor, they need to understand the cause. They don't basically look at the symptoms. So representation is beyond parliament. Like now, we try our level best in parliament. If it doesn't work, you go beyond, where you tell people exactly what's happening. Then oversight. The other day, there were things, the relief items I mentioned, food, which were brought to my constituencies. Do you know I was not informed at all? And I'm a member of parliament.
Brought by whom?
The government, national government. I went to the CS. The CS telling me that I sent some food to your constituency on this particular day. I told him, you have my number. Why did you not inform me? Then the DCC, who is supposed to work very closely with the elected leaders, she did not inform me as well. Then I asked her, the items which now you're telling us to distribute to people. One is too little. Number two, there are many essential items which are missing. Then I asked her, could I say there was a ploy or something which you guys were trying to cover for not letting me know what came from national government so that I play my role of oversight? Because oversight means, one, if consignment is coming, you are supposed to be there to receive and reconfirm whether what was sent has been dispatched. We had time of Kanu when things used to disappear. You find government items be sold in supermarkets or in shops. And now they're taking us back to that. Simply because you are elected on the opposition, they think you are I'm not an opposition. The government has three arms: executive, judiciary, and legislator. And any member of parliament, regardless of which party they come from, they are part of legislation, they are part of the government. But now, we are in a situation whereby the moment someone sees you as Azimio, they think your job is critic. It's not a critic, but telling the government this is right, this is wrong. And I would expect the UDA people to do the same.
You know, Mheshimiwa, it is strange.
Yes.
That we have a new constitution. We have all manner of freedoms and all manner of rights.
Yes.
And what we call the political space is really open. You can have conversations such as one we're having without even fearing that anything will happen to you.
Correct.
And yet, at a time when that fear was real, people would talk. And they would open their mouths. Even people who are supposed to be in Kanu.
Yes.
And in Kanu would
Yes.
say, no, we don't agree with this.
Yes.
No, this one is not right. They paid a steep price for it.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yes.
The problem isn't the ruling government. The problem is the character and the personalities individually who are in parliament.
Yes.
Judged by what they do within the constituency and judged by what it is they actually do when they get to parliament.
Correct.
And there are people who do what they're supposed to do in their constituencies and in parliament. And the Hansard is proof of what they do. But there is a majority, not a minority, who seem to be sitting back waiting for someone to call them, to ask them to side with them. And because siding also means that there's some money involved in it. It is that watered down integrity, the complete deficit of it that is being exhibited, that is a problem. Not the government in power. The world over, people in power do exactly this. Multipartyism came about as a result of that, knowing that if you only have one party where someone is in control, not much will happen. It always happens. Now, if we elect people who, when the first nod, they come running, then
what do you expect?
Then woe betide us. We have to wait another 5 years because you in the August House ensured that the tools were given to recall you. They're in theory, but they're completely dismantled. We actually can't recall you even if we want to. So, if someone is doing what they do, and this is where the vigilance of the citizenry come in, we see, because they get re-elected. We see. Because the wananchi know this person is working for us. Any member of parliament or any politician who's doing what they're supposed to do, you don't need to be told, you will see it. And people will tell you that this person actually has our interests at heart. Unfortunately, there are not many.
How do you rescue parliament from this chokehold of not the executive, the president? Uhuru had a chokehold on parliament. Ruto clearly has one on parliament. How do we rescue parliament from this? The strong parliament that we created in the constitution.
Well, that's an interesting one. Because you see, for you to rescue, and it goes to what my brother Muga mentioned, it's about individual characters. Because if we had what I refer as patriots, people would not sing the song of their boss or their party boss. People would be there to represent the people who elected them without necessarily pleasing a certain person. Then would have done our best to rescue the situation we are in. But today, as I said, the whipping aspect is working. Where you find guys on this side, no one, even if you are pushed to the wall, they are not able to talk. They talk when they're having tea. But when it comes to this, they are quiet. Then you are left with only few of us who are actually talking and saying, this is not right. We can't continue like this and expect our country to move forward. So it is a situation we are in, and it is something that, as you said, citizens need to do a scorecard, basically. Because now it is back to the citizen to do a scorecard. You saw what happened during the time of demonstrations. People thought it was politicians who were telling people to demonstrate. But the push was coming from the people. When the cost of living is going up, majority of the citizens are struggling. You have done adjustments, you come with different modes of coping strategies, but then still not working. Then what happens? People invoke the two articles. Article 1, where the power belongs to the people, and the people may exercise that power directly or indirectly. And then Article 37, which talks of peaceful demonstration and picketing. So those two were invoked when a situation like this.
And that's what should happen again.
Now it's unfortunate. Maybe, yes.
Thank you for joining us. Come again soon. Let's continue this conversation. It's a good one. It's good to have fresh thinking, new members of parliament, ideal with what you're thinking. Good to have you here. Robert Ngui is the MP for Yatta constituency. Time for the news. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Good morning. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto disclosed that the government agreed to provide additional budgetary allocation to the judiciary to employ 36 more judges in order for them to be deployed to anti-corruption courts. Speaking during the official opening of the Gilgil Technical and Vocational College in Nakuru County, President Ruto said the move was to help clear the backlog of corruption-related cases to help the country move forward. The president referred to the just concluded Anglo-Leasing case of the late 90s, saying cases were taking too long to be prosecuted and thus deeming it almost impossible to end corruption in the country. And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has cautioned elected members from Mount Kenya region against engaging in succession politics merely a year and a half after the Kenya Kwanza administration took over the reins at State House, labeling the political maneuvering as childish. Speaking in Karen when he met Nyandarua MCAs, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua emphasized the importance of elected leaders prioritizing service delivery rather than delving into succession politics, further asserting that those in office should focus on fulfilling their responsibilities to the public. The DP further stated that elected officials ought to make concerted efforts to empower local youth, thereby essentially expanding their vote basket for upcoming election. And Cabinet Secretary for Interior Kithure Kindiki has dismissed 2027 succession politics as tactless, anti-people and primitive. Kindiki, who took on social platform X, demanded that any talk about the 2027 succession cease, or at the very least his name be expunged from the debate. According to the Interior Ministry Chief, political talk about the 2027 polls coming slightly over a year since the last election is a blemish on Kenyan democracy's maturity. The CS, who said he will not be taking part in any idle talk about 2027 succession, said the role bequeathed to him by the head of state is quite sensitive and it requires relentless focus and total abstinence from all manners of distracting misadventure. And the government, through the Ministry of Health, is set to distribute at least 15.3 million long-lasting insecticidal nets to 22 counties considered highly burdened by malaria. Public Health and Professional Standards Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni, in a statement, said the ministry will digitize the process in a bid to enhance efficiency and accountability. P.S. Muthoni said the exercise already began in Homa Bay County, where 830,862 nets were distributed, and will proceed to Kisii today, where 941,368 nets will be issued, and thereafter in Nyamira on January 31st for the release of 449,974 nets. And the daughter of a woman seeking stake in the 2 billion shillings estate belonging to the late Minister Simeon Nyachai threw a spanner into the works during a hearing yesterday, telling the court that she had no connection to the late billionaire. Patricia Mora told the court that her father is George Gordon Odero and that she does not know any Simeon Nyachai purported to be her father. Although she acknowledged Margaret Chwea as her mother, she told the court that she had not given consent for the case and that she had told her mother to pursue her interest without her. Meanwhile, her mother insists that she was married to Nyachai and that Patricia and her siblings are the late minister's children. The lawyer representing Nyachai's family, however, watered down the claims, telling the court that the woman in question was never married to Nyachai. And defending champions Senegal secured top spot in Group C at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations after beating Guinea 2-0 in an ill-tempered encounter. Abdoulaye Seck headed the Teranga Lions in front from a free kick, and Iliman Ndiaye sealed victory with a fine low finish in the final minute. Guinea knew they would go through before kickoff and finished third after Cameroon beat Gambia 3-2 to qualify. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Patrick Lodge. Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
CT Lodge.
Muga,
not Muga.
He's here, and here's the day's proverb.
One man marries a woman, another man marries troubles. Is he the same man?
Spice.
A lion cannot eat more than 2 donkeys. It would die a natural death because there is no ICU in the forest. In Kenya, it has become the situation that you cannot conduct 2 elections. In fact,
with the same
Bukati,
IBC.
You can't.
I tell you about this Indian friend of mine who was enjoying other Indians in the group. He wrote the word valve and told them, read it.
So how did he say it? I really want to know.
The valve. Because kina Ednah, it's the, like you said, the bees and the peas. Kila kitu mkisia kisema atasema opposite.
Opposite?
Ukisema hii anasema opposite.
Opposite.
Wewe ukisikiliza namna hii unasikia opposite.
The Situation Room, Spice. The only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, there was a lot of traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning, bumper to bumper here and there. I think it's reducing. Now, whatever was going on right around Githurai has dissipated, so we're not dealing with that issue anymore. Some of it still now from Pangani at the underpass out into the CBD. CBD's taking the load of it this morning. And also on Gong Road. Coming on from Langata Road, it's manageable, but we have some standstills in some areas. So, heads up, watch out for that as you're heading into the city. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Just in case anything does pop off, let us know as we try to keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
On to the third hour of the Situation Room. Thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in. Spice FM, Nairobi, across the country, basically. KTN Home, across the country, across East Africa. On YouTube and on Facebook, across the globe. And then on those streaming services as well, across the globe. And later you can also find us on our Spice FM, the Situation Room podcast on Standard Digital Media. It's everywhere. It's the 24th day of 2024. It's been 24 days into this new year. 24th of 24. Okay? Mm-hmm. People at the beginning of this year were Okoh with New Year resolutions. Hashtag new me, new year, new me. Hashtag eat right, eat healthy. Hashtag exercise more. Hashtag what? Hashtag more greens, less red. Hashtag walk. Hashtag hydrate and take more water. Those are the ones we want to talk to. Hashtag hydrate, right? Hashtag minerals. Hashtag coming from the earth. Hashtag natural minerals. Hashtag celebrating our wealth. Hashtag treated by nature. Hashtag Kenya's richness. Hashtag caring it. Hashtag own your richness. Hashtag new year is still new. Hashtag are you still a new you.
Where?
Hashtag buy caring it. Hashtag own your richness.
We get it.
You get it? Hashtag richness.
Got it.
Hashtag minerals.
Hashtag we've heard you.
Hashtag had me.
Yes.
Hashtag move on.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So all right. On this 24th day, globally, we mark it as the International Day of Education. And our next conversation is going to be marking the International Day of Education, which is a day set aside by who? UNESCO. To say, hii mambo ya education iko hapo. We are joined by Lilian Moina. She's the country director at Swiss Contact. She's been here before. Good morning, Lilian. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and
Hashtag
good morning.
Good to see you.
Hashtag happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Now that we're talking about education, we want to start off by, first of all, telling you why Kiwi is very, very big on education this time round.
A big deal. So often when kids go to school, and especially for boarding schools, you had to have your polish in your suitcase, right? When you were going in your box, whatever, because you wanted to make sure that you were stepping up and shining. And as that has progressed, Kiwis also realized, okay, there's going to be a trouble spot every now and then. And we come to the beginning of the year, you still have to look immaculate, but at the same time, we're going to need the school fees to be paid so that you can attend school. For a lot of folks, that can happen. Okay, so still buy the Kiwi.
Okay.
Kiwi says you buy it. There's a starburst on this tin that we want you to buy. It's this particular one. And when you do that, you're going to dial *459*5#. And when you pop the lid, there's a code under. You'll insert that when you're dialing this hash number. Airtime data, 1 instantly. But then every week, 4 people are winning 35,000 shillings each.
Wow.
And that's because you've been entered into a draw as well when you insert that code. And this money goes directly to school fees. It goes and pays at the school for this child to attend school. So here it is. Step up and shine with your shoes. Step up and shine and your fees are paid.
Wow. Great.
Buy Kiwi today.
Like that. To welcome you to the conversation, Lilian, City has the day's African proverb brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, because he goes across Africa every single week and then he mines proverbs from that country.
Okay.
This time, EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, has helped him to go to the Kingdom of
Morocco.
Very good.
Which, as you very well know, has the form of government, a unique one known as the unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
Unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional
kingdom
of monarchs. Say again. Unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
She's right when she says kingdom.
Okay.
Because you can't be a monarchy without a kingdom. Yes, like we don't have a monarchy, though we have leaders who
are kings,
who think, imagine,
they're kings.
conduct themselves in a manner befitting a certain majesty.
Okay.
But you cannot stop effort and you cannot stop progress. Now the proverb, if you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once.
If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once. I was asking earlier where the punctuation comes in. If you have a friend, comma, like honey, comma, don't eat him more than once. All at once. If you have a friend like honey, comma, don't eat him all at once. Full stop.
Right. Punctuation's everything.
What would you put yours, Lilian?
Everywhere you put it was correct.
Okay.
I agree with her.
Sawa. If comma, you comma.
No. How you said it, that if you have a friend, comma, like honey, comma, don't eat him all at once.
What's your interpretation of it?
My interpretation of it is, I think it's when you have something good, there's the friend in this case, or maybe it's money or whatever it is you have. Don't consume it all at once. Use it slowly. Be wise. Think it through. Take your time. And slowly, it will continue to give you good value over time if you consume it slowly. But if you finish all at once, then when you really are in need of it, it will not be there. It will not be available.
Good one. Right, City?
Excellent.
Very
well executed.
International Day of Education, you're basically just ranking her very high.
It is, but also think about it, even from the point of view of the education sector. Look at where a child starts from. They've started walking, they know a few words, they even know how to insult people. That one. Then they go to school. And that process It's incremental. It's never at once. This person who is a great achiever didn't start as a great achiever, started as a toddler. So it's a principle that applies.
Great.
And if that child isn't molded well, that which you see, the end product wouldn't quite be what it is, would it? That is from an educational perspective.
Very good.
Yes.
So Lilian, what is Swiss Contact and how are you involved in education matters?
Oh, great question. Swiss Contact is an INGO that was formed in Switzerland, as the name would say, over 60 years ago, with the premise of solving for international development projects by creating economic empowerment. That's our angle. There are many NGOs out there. Some focus on humanitarian response or emergency response, but our focus is creating projects that link to economic empowerment. And so here in Kenya, specifically, we do have a project that's dubbed Propeller that focuses on creating education and skills for young plumbers and electricians. So using a curricula that is very focused on what the private sector needs, then we are able to create jobs by working closely with them and together with the NITA and TIVET as well, and the local private sector.
Okay. What is the theme for this year's International Day of Education?
So this year's theme is really around pushing for education for peace. That's the overarching goal, but mainly focusing on reduce on hate speech, because as we know, there's a lot of things happening globally, and what UNESCO have identified is that there are a lot of increase in anti-Semitic activities, anti-racism. There's just a lot of discrimination conversations happening on social media. And so they want to use educators like teachers to be able to foster peaceful thoughts, being able to work with different people, push for diversity thoughts so that people don't start viewing their neighbors as bad people, but to push for education systems to actually allow for integration, allow for people to value their neighbors and people who have different opinions on different things. So that's the whole theme around what they're doing today.
You know, often when people talk about education, you're thinking about primary and secondary. We forget that post-secondary education is still part of education. And of course, your programs, like you've told us, they focus on the post-secondary, on bringing skill to people. Is there a linkage between the lack of focus on post-secondary education for many and what we're talking about today, peace and lack of peace?
Yes, there is a link. I believe when you are maybe in the primary or tertiary years of education, the children are not very, they don't know much about what's happening in the world. They're kind of limited to what's happening in their home state, in their society. They don't have that awareness. And they go to school, and the parents is really the focal point of being able to guide what is going to happen in their life. But as they grow older, as they become more mature and they discover many things in the world, they start watching things, crime shows and all these interesting things that they're watching. And then now they're finished university and there are no opportunities for them. I mean, high school rather. They're not able to go to a vocational education institution, or they're not able to go to a university in itself. So they have a lot of time. And as we know that an idle mind is a devil's workshop, as it is playground. So they start thinking about vices and things that they can do to get money because they want money. And what popular culture is now pushing for is a flashy lifestyle. You need to be able to drive, to have this phone and have this headset and this watch. And if they have no skill, they think, well, I could easily get involved in different activities. And interestingly, UN Habitat shared some data on the crime rates here in Kenya. And they're saying that 57% of the crimes that are happening in Kenya are done by young people. So that definitely there's a linkage. If people are unemployed and then 57% of the crime is being linked to young people, then definitely the lack of a good and comprehensive education system at those levels then is contributing.
You know, as you give the statistics, my mind went to this question. Is there any country whose statistics are that crimes are committed by older people?
Interest. I thought about that when I was reading that data. I was also
you thought about it as well.
Yes.
Yes. So if you have a country that boasts a young population, then you're likely to see more crime simply because of those numbers.
Yes.
Yes.
True.
Even as you say that, that's very interesting because there is a crime series. Well, I won't call it a crime series. It looks at rehabilitated young men and women in Kenya. And they talk about their life in crime. And there's one particular story that strikes me as you say this, because this young boy talks about the fact that he was not in school at some point. And there was, this prolonged violence between his mother and his then father, or who, not necessarily his mother's husband, but his father. And the amount of 2,000 kept ringing in his head because it is what this woman was demanding of this man to be able to do things here and there. So obviously school fees was out of the question, so they were at home. And he ran into some company, essentially, where they would go and steal. And on that day when he agreed to join the gang, whatever they did, he was paid 2,000 shillings. He took that 2,000 shillings and he went and gave it to his mother. His mother asked him where he got the money from, and he said, I'm not discussing that right now. But if this is going ahead, that's not the issue. But if this is going to sort out this issue where we cannot sleep, people are crazy, killing each other every day, here is the 2,000 shillings and let us move. He said the joy on his mother's face drove him to go back the next day and look for more. So school, out of the question. We're not going to go to school. I found a way where I can get this money, we have peace, we can sleep. My siblings, we have something to eat that day. So yes, direct linkage. But what is being done in school to remove the thought that such a thing and practice can never be an option again? Should that not be where then the focus is? Because he tells this story years later, but in an education system, those vices still exist. Many would argue that even while children are going to school, those things are being done. What would be the best solution or the best situation whereby you have people in school that definitely would be developed and built up whereby crime is not an option?
So that's a very good observation, because it's true, and that's what's actually happening. I think this solution to how do we encourage peace, how do we encourage people to actually have jobs so then they don't get involved in crime, is requires a multidimensional response. So there's not only one response that can be able to solve for this problem. It has to be addressed at different levels. I could speak of a few. The first one that's been advocated today by UNESCO, and I would want to speak about it, is how do we make sure that even in school, as you're training on chemistry and biology and all these other things, that we also talk about the importance of loving your neighbor, understanding that you respect the person and their property, and you value having safety even within your community, and how you can be an agent of peace in your community. That's the first thing. The second thing is also looking at, okay, there are people who are actually finishing and graduating from high school every year, and last year 900,000 about of them finished their high school education. Only 25% of those were able to get C and above to be admitted into the university here in Kenya. So what happens to the 75%? We are saying that we would want them to get into TIVETs and such like. But then again, when they get into TIVET and they come out, they still are not able to get some of these jobs because those skills are not what the industry is asking for. The same to the ones who come out of university. Only a few, about 30%, are absorbed into the job market when they finish their university education. So what is happening there? Are we linking with the private sector to understand exactly what their needs are at that level, so that whatever path that you take, be it TIVET, be it the academic path, you actually get out and there are people ready to absorb you because they feel that they need you and that you are linked to the future that they want to see their companies grow into. And then we're able to see holistic economic development in the country. So I would say that there are different levels, but I believe everyone has a role to play. We would need to strengthen our education system to be holistic, to look at those elements of peace and integrity and all that stuff, in addition to strengthening it so that it is responsive to industry needs.
If you look at a curriculum, what you're saying, where would it fit in? Civic education? Humanities? Or do we need a
religious education?
Something deliberate, a deliberate subject that is created specifically.
Called what? Peace and tranquility.
Yes.
Peace,
How
love,
about
and harmony.
How about responsible citizenship?
That is civic education. Isn't it?
Yes, because
civics.
The space for it exists. Is the content adequate?
That's a good question.
Because if this is taught, and I say deliberately, okay, the country of Germany is mentioned as one, Rwanda is mentioned as another, Israel is mentioned as other. Countries that have taken deliberate steps to ensure that the education system teaches a certain aspect of their history, so everybody knows about it. There's no pretending that it didn't happen, that you don't know, that there was no Holocaust. You know. You know the part that was played by citizens of your country. And it's taught at every stage and up to university. It is a taught subject. Now, that's deliberate. When you talk about a holistic educational system that gives people an opportunity, it existed even before the 844 system came in, where you had the option, because you were introduced. It wasn't just languages, technical subjects. You were introduced to them at a certain age. You could then decide what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go. And then there were specific secondary schools that had a strong leaning, for instance, towards technical and commercial. They had that leaning. Some just had commercial, some had technical and commercial, some just had technical. But they were secondary schools. You're taught history, English and all that, but the focus was on technical. Now, the 844 system attempted to segregate so that you could actually ensure that someone segues into this area of specialty. But I wondered what they were doing, because that already existed. But then the 844 system came and said it was supposed to improve it. It didn't. It's like what had existed just completely disappeared. Now, we are trying to revisit this same discussion. We had polytechnics that people went to. We had what we call then village polytechnics that people went to. Now, how do these institutions then ensure that what they do or teach fits in with industry requirements? Again, you found industry was an integral part of these institutions. When people went for internships or attachments, there are courses that you would have an attachment, or after first, second year, at the end of it, an attachment. Third year, an attachment. Meaning, by the time you actually left, I'm talking about polytechnics, you had individuals who actually knew exactly what to do. So the issue of employment was not even a discussion. You got employment. Again, that system was watered down with some newfangled ideas that went God knows where. Now, here we are again with some newfangled ideas, really new and fangled completely. Okay? This one is just fangled and tangled. And here we are trying to say, this is what we want to do. Then you look at the so-called university. The university isn't a problem, but the thinking around it is, because it's like if you don't go to university, you haven't done anything. That thinking is completely wrong. Not everybody wants to go to university. And not everything that you want to do needs a university education.
True.
But our education system doesn't seem to emphasize that. And look at what parents then end up doing. Because they are also caught up in that momentum. And everybody thinks university. And if you don't go to university, it's like you never really amounted to much. Again, that thinking is completely erroneous. And then we keep talking about a huge skill gap. You want to build a pipeline, you have to import technicians. Yes, we have polytechnics. You want to do something, we don't have enough plumbers. You want to do this, we don't have enough bricklayers. Now, so this disconnect, what part does, is it Swiss Consult or Swiss Connect?
Swiss Contact.
Yeah, well, okay, I think Connect, yes. How do you fit into all this?
That's a really good question, and great observations. I would say that's true. just to underscore something, is that we as a nation, we really do make great visionary, like strategic statements, and we will say we want to transition into green skills. We say we want to industrialize. We want to get into more manufacturing. I think definitely after every big statement, it's important that we see how do we operationalize that. Is it trickling down to the education system so that when we say we are working towards the green transition, this is how we are doing it, and this is how it's trickling, and these are the subjects and the units, and if it's at an academic level, this is what you need to pursue, and this is where you'll find it, and if it's at a tertiary level, it is offered at, Nyeri Polytechnic or Murang or Kisumu, and this is how that links to the overall goal. And I feel like that's something we need to get better at, and that we can definitely improve on. That said, Swiss Contact's experience, as I shared, we have done it for over 60 years, where we decided, because it was founded by former CEOs of the private sector, and they say that, okay, now we have a lot of time and we have a lot of experience. What if we applied this private sector lens and thinking into solving international development challenges? So we look at it from more of what I'm sharing. We have this big goal. Then how do we link that to the education system or the healthcare system or different things? So our role really as Swiss Contact is to facilitate. We come into the market and we say we would want to implement a skills development program. We do an analysis and say construction would be a great sector, because we've spoken to private sector and they say plumbing and electrical are key needs and areas of opportunity for a lot of employment. And then we look at the market, we analyze the market. So we will not bring a solution from Cambodia or from Switzerland or elsewhere and say we want to bring it the way it is and implement it in Kenya. We will look at the market system, we will do an analysis of that market system, identify who are the actors, who are the private sector actors, who are the government actors who would need to be able to do this, who in the government would we partner with, should we partner with the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Agriculture, or just mapping out who are the actors, then identify how it's currently working, identify where the gaps are. And then as facilitators, because our main aim is to provide long-term sustainable impact, is then to identify how do we help then this actor bridge this gap. So is it that you don't have a good or the curriculum is good but is not being implemented well because of a certain lack of maybe trainers or trainer or mentors? Then we will together with that institution design a trainer of trainers or a trainer of mentors or a responsive curriculum that would allow that part of that system to start working. Then go to a different, but in that same ecosystem, work with each one of them to help them get to the capacity that they need to, so that now that market system can start working. It is a long-term journey with market systems development, as we call it. It doesn't take 2 years or 3 years. Like I can't come and say I've done this propeller project for 3 years. I have made a big change in the TIVET sector here in Kenya. What we have seen from our experience is that for such market system development programs that are supposed to lead to long-term positivity in the society, takes about 12 years to 15 years. So you design in phases, and you say in this first phase, we will be able to achieve certain goals. Then look at what you've been able to achieve in those 3 years. Has it worked? Did it not work? What do we need to change? Then together with the actors, we shift. We keep on shifting until all the cogs start working together.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 60 years.
Sidi, let's take a break.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I come back to 60 years.
Then I come back to 60 years. 60 years of Kenya's independence. And we have a Kenyan taxi company called
Mara Moja.
Tell Lilian about it.
You know, when you hear the term Mara Moja and you're a speaker of the Kiswahili language, it's not difficult to understand. But let's break this Mara Moja down. It's a taxi hailing app. You know, I'm speaking yes. I almost went in that direction. So I have to speak slowly so I don't hail the app. Yes. Now, when you Google the name Mara Moja Transport Company, you'll encounter several apps, but you want to go for the blue one. Simple. Name, email address, phone number, and you're told proceed. But the things that make this particular app unique and different I'm going to point them out. One, they have a promo code. Promo code is simple. Spice 30. You enter it as you're seeking to engage with a driver, automatically gives you 30% discount. They have a wallet. Now, that wallet, you deposit money as you are able to. Now, whatever amount it is that you add, they automatically give you 50% more. Aha. Speaking to the drivers, because I've used the app, and I use the app, the drivers say that this particular app, this particular company pays them the best. They like the payment. But what I liked now as a user is when you're told to proceed, you are given pictures, almost as the picture that fills the screen, almost the screen of your phone, and you're told this driver, this vehicle, far away, this distance, and you choose. There's several of them. You choose from them, and you decide this is the one that I want to take. Let's say I want to travel in the next 30 minutes. I will look for the one who's 30 minutes away. They'll immediately call you and engage you and say, what time do you want me to be here? And you inform them. But something unique also, even as you engage them, you look at your phone, you suddenly find there's some information there. It's like a code. Now, it's when you board the taxi that you realize they tell you, we sent you a code, could you please enter it? Because before you enter it, I cannot move. When your journey comes to an end, that's when you use a second code. Now, all I'm saying is, these are safety features, security features. Now, if that isn't unique, what is?
It's Kenyan. It's unique. Time for that break, as we say, to pate kopo la maji. It's Keringet water, celebrating and owning our richness, because Keringet is the richest, coming from the earth, Kenya's earth, and giving us all the minerals filtered through the rocks of Kenya. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyang.
Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with
Spice FM. 17 degrees, highs of 25, and it's 17 and sunny in Nakuru, going to highs of 27. 14 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 25 in a sunny Eldoret at 13. Mombasa this morning is sunny at 28, and in Malindi it's cloudy at 29. Hazy skies in Kisumu at 22, and hazy skies as well in Kakamega at 20. We're looking into a cloudy Kampala at 21, and Dar es Salaam light rain showers now at 26. It's 17 and sunny in Johannesburg, and Mogadishu is sunny at 29 with Addis Ababa sunny at 15. Partly cloudy conditions at 26 in Lagos, and mostly cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa.
Chilled Spice.
All right, not looking too bad. Coming off the Thika Superhighway now. Whatever little hiccups we had this morning, the breath is flowing free now, at least until you get to the Pangani underpass, and that pack-up continues for a while as cars are slowly exiting the tunnel. Lower Kabete has some traffic, as does Waiaki Way, but all manageable. As you're coming in then from Gong Road, touching on the city, coming to that junction from Naivasha Road, there'll be a bit of a hold up there as well. Langata Road is spilling over towards Raila Odinga Way, as well as at the National Stadium. We have some traffic touching on Uhuru Highway, so let's watch out for that. Still be there for some time. Okay, we'll talk Spice FM KE on X.
mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The conversation continues with Lilian Moina. She's a country director at Swiss Contact. We are celebrating the International Day of Education. This year's theme, according to UNESCO, is Education for Peace and City. 60 years.
Well, 60 years of being in the country. One, you've had enough time to understand the country. You've had enough time to do these 12-year programs.
Yes.
So, two questions. What has success looked like? And where can we locate this success so you can tell us, you see this one? 12 years down the line.
That is the picture.
This is where we started and this is where we are. On your marks, get set, go.
Great question. So for this particular project, Propeller, we've been implementing it. This is our second year. But I can speak about Swiss Contact and this approach in a different sector and what we did and the results. So when we've been here from 1995 in Kenya, Swiss Contact, and we are really known for financial inclusions project that we called IFP. And this project, we designed it to be able to help Kenya move to a more financial inclusive so that people at the bottom of the pyramid were able to have access to finance, they were able to get into banks, and they were able to have accounts, and they were able to form SACCOs and such. So through this financial inclusion program that happened and ran for 14 years, we were able to target and work with some of the leading banks, SACCOs, the Ministry of Cooperatives. One such notable bank was Equity Bank. When they were moving and redefining themselves from a housing society, they were amongst the actors that we selected within that ecosystem that we could work with to help them define what is it exactly you would want to do so that you can reach the people who are at the bottom. What type of products? What do you need to provide them? So we did a bit of capacity building with them, help them design their products, not only for them. We also worked with Juhudi Kilimo. It was also one of the outcomes of that project. And as I shared, our solutions have to be sustainable and are able to be left within that ecosystem when that project ends. So the project ended in 2020, and those examples that I've given, just amongst the few, are still existing, and they're still doing their mandate as they had been designed to do. So our hope is that in another 12 years, or is it 10 years from now, that all the work that we are putting in right now will be able to be visible, that we will have strengthened TIVET systems. There are local private actors who are strengthened to start participating in skills development for the purposes of economic growth of the country, that the government, through our help, will be able to help them facilitate how they engage with private sector, how they're able to incentivize and create policies that encourage private sector to want to participate and provide these opportunities for young people to be able to have apprenticeship opportunities in their organizations. So basically, I've been able to give that one good example. But yeah.
Let's look at something that you mentioned earlier, where you talk about a 25 against a 75% of students who will not be able to transition to university. So there's the TIVET option for them and other tertiary institutions. However, there's a very large number of students also who then will not be able to make it, even to TIVET, because there is a mark that you must have achieved. So we have a whole lot of people for whom we don't know what's going to happen with them education-wise. Now, when you talk about strengthening TIVETs and tertiary institutions, what suggestions or what mechanisms can be put in place for a very large number of the educated or those in that education transition period for whom there is no option, and it's not a guess, there is no option? What can be done for them? They've been through high school, they've finished secondary school level, they've not graded to the point whereby it has already been set by the education institution that you need to have achieved this grade in order to move to the next level. They've not done that, but they're in a majority.
True.
What do we do? What should we do? What should be discussed and implemented for them? Bridging courses, what should it be?
Great. Interestingly, the more we continue to engage with the TIVET system, the more you realize, and the reason why people have such a negative opinion of TIVET is because first, people have graded that TIVET is for failures. And the reason why they call it that TIVET is for failures is because the level of entry and the barrier of entry is pretty low. Do you know that even a class 8 dropout can do TIVET? They can go through the National Industrial Training Authority, get a grade 1 certification, even when they do not have that high school education. And I feel the biggest challenge we face is that we do not have a TIVET system. We do have a TIVET system. It is how it has been marketed and packaged such that even when you get that E or something, you feel like you're a failure, there's nothing for you, and there's actually a path you can take. It might seem long and not as direct as some of the other paths, but it does pay. It does pay. So you'll find there are many other organizations as well that are able to undertake this TIVET trainings. Some of them go into like Kisumu or Mombasa in Kilifi and very remote areas, and they're just being able to create short courses that are TIVET enabled or NITA enabled, and they make sure that those guys get those basic skills to become a plumber or an electrician. Problem is, people don't know about these pathways. People don't see these opportunities.
Are they accessible?
Are they there?
Well, I am telling you what the TIVET is supposed to do. The challenge is, again, maybe the TIVET institutions at that area are not well equipped, or they are not responsive to what is needed. But the way TIVET was designed, that is how it's supposed to be.
To have a bridging course?
Not a bridging course that you are able. You can enter.
Get in
from Standard 8, you can get into an institution. Maybe it's a VTI, and then you go in and you get from grade 1 and you keep moving up.
Keep advancing.
The issue, though, just like we are asking, is the investment that's been put into it. And so if we talk about education for peace and saying, for us to focus on this, even as you're teaching people, your civic duty, your human values tell you that, you should not fight, you should not steal, you should not do all these things. If at the end of this, the opportunities are not there, circumstances may lead you to this. Circumstances will lead you to be taken advantage of by somebody who would like you to take up arms and fight their war, right? True. So it's these things that end up there. That's why we said inequalities in our education system would be fueling this violence and a life of crime. The inequalities would start from there, from accessing information.
Exactly.
And then accessing the opportunities. If you got an E and you're wondering, so what do I do? If there was a clear pathway for you in your locality and so next thing I do is I apply into this, I start here, this is what I'm interested in doing. Or even if you had a C, but your interest was in this particular skill, you also know that this is how it is and this is how easy I can get into it. And those institutions are clearly identifiable and they're well funded, then we'd be moving somewhere. Like you said, so we have the national polytechnics. Those ones are big, they're known, everybody knows. There's a big gate just like a university, it's known. We have the other polytechnics and technical institutions known. We have counties also are running their vocational training institutes. They've put in all this, county government of blah, blah, blah. One in a county or two in a county. In a sub-county and village level, how many of these are we seeing? And how accessible are they? And how equipped or resourced are they to actually support this system, the education system? From your experience, what have you seen?
I would say that I don't think we are short of TIVET institutions in this country. I believe that we have more than 200 TIVET institutions in this country. I think that the challenges we faced first and foremost is what we've just discussed, the lack of information. It's not trickling down to the secondary level. We're not giving it as an option. We're not explaining, don't give up, don't worry. If this doesn't work, go for this. Because even the teachers, I remember I had a conversation with a colleague also who's in the TIVET space, and they were telling me they'd gone to a high school to try and encourage the students, TIVET is a pathway. You can get jobs easily. You can, opportunities locally and abroad and such. And the teacher in the school called her aside later on and she's like, we are trying to make sure we get as many A's as possible. And you're talking about TIVET. There is a conflict there. There's a conflict because the society as we know it and the culture that we have as a society collectively is that we push for academia, going to university, how many A's, a school that has the most A's, and which is important. I mean, education in terms of good grades is important. But then why do we see TIVET as not a pathway? Have we even educated our teachers for them to understand it a bit better so that as they're finishing the secondary education, as you shared, you know that I got a C, but I'm more interested in applying my
it's not
hand.
attractive because the local TIVET that you see there is just in shambles.
And also it's in shambles, and there's no story of there's no success story.
There's nothing that comes out of that.
Look at this comment that Angela has made, and I think it's just fundamental to this very thing that we're talking about, because she talked about the VTCs being less funded, not enough classes, instructors are not paid. She's given an example of over 25 VTCs in one particular area and no infrastructure. Now, you can imagine, we are saying that people are not attracted to this offer because we've not made it attractive. Right? If you put in as much effort, if you make sure that there is a structure that then people can see and experience, the likelihood of more people coming to it then increases. But we cannot, I dare say, forget it. You cannot say that this is an option or that you're even saying, and then you've not even put an ounce of sweat towards making sure that that option is one that is viable for the majority of students who go through the system in this country. Can you imagine that the option that we are giving for a majority of students is in a mess infrastructurally? What do we expect to happen if the very the basic we're not able to deliver on? And we need that for the majority of students who pass through the school system.
It is true. And I think it takes me back to the point where I was saying we have made big statements as a country that we want to push maybe for TIVET and such, or we want to push for green transition or digitization. But what are we doing so that it trickles down to the VTCs, that it trickles down to the people who are more marginalized than any other person? And I think that's our work, is to ask those questions. I would say is to ask, how does this translate? After we've said the statements, how does this translate? And then go to your local and look, are people being absorbed into them? But it is clear, and what I have seen when I have gone around is that the structure is there. There's a building, there's a space allocated, that there's a vocational education training center, and maybe it's not well equipped. And I know that for a fact, the PS of TIVET, Dr. Moria, she is committed, and I know that she's trying to push for TIVET to be widely accepted, to solve for the infrastructure issues. But as I've said, these things take time. It does. And as Siti shared earlier, and I'm not speaking for anybody, I'm just saying from my own personal experience.
Do not worry, I'm not going to jump on your neck. I'll just take a deep breath.
Okay. But as Siti said, as we shared, it does take time because there's a lot of unlearning as a society that we need to do. Because assuming I even came and I equipped this place with the best TIVET institution, and the society still says that TIVET is for failures, we have to do a lot. And that's why I said it's a multidimensional problem that we need to deal with from different aspects. There's what the government should do, there's what the private sector should do, there's what the TIVET institution should do, there's what us as the society should do in encouraging our children. What I heard in Switzerland when I visited, because there the options for TIVET or taking at academia are very present, and many 60 to 70% of the youth opt to go to a TIVET as opposed to going after they finish their high school. But when you speak to the young people and ask them, why did you decide to take this route? They say, my father, my mother took this route, and that is what has fed our family. And if you talk to the one who takes the academic route, they'll say, my parents are scholars or they have white-collar jobs, and that's why I took that. So for us, when you look at our society right now, how many success stories do we have? That's why I'm saying it takes a bit of time. How many there's the opportunity we are speaking about. There are opportunities. You can get jobs locally. You can migrate. You can do. But then, do we have success stories? So we will start now. We will progress. And then in future, in about 6-7 years, when we actually have some success stories that can actually say, hey, I have done this. I am here in my life. Then we can really start seeing the adoption as well from that level.
You know me, I'm going to be a wet blanket on this one.
Please.
If I look at the education sector, where just the secondary school system, primary school system that we have, the only reason why the success story in education exists in the manner it does today is because the private sector has intervened at every level and at every stage. The private sector would probably need to intervene in TIVET.
Yes.
Because we are a country, the German government had wanted to build us a technical university. Build. The way the Japanese built JKU at. Our politics and the way we go about our business, the messy fashion in which we handle critical things, that one opportunity, there talks about, well, there's this, but that one went. Okay? So, when we talk about TIVET and government involvement and interest, successive governments have shown they have no interest whatsoever. What they have an interest in is talking and placating people and talking about, yes, we're doing. That is how it is run. It is talked about. Because if the intention matched the talk, hey, where would we be?
We'll be very, very far.
Yes, we are not far. And does it look like we're going to be far? It doesn't look like we're going to be far.
What I can say in the Propeller project, we are working with local private sector. The people who are offering the job, the organizations offering the jobs to the young people so that they're able to do a dual apprenticeship program are local companies. They are not companies established abroad. They are owned by local private sector. And from that small group sample that we are working with, they are interested in participating in helping to develop those industries. I believe the challenge that we have, and which I have seen as we have tried to roll out this program, is that they need they need incentives, because they're saying, I'm participating in education, I am building for my workforce, which is great. But I would need some incentives, and I guess the incentives would only be able to come from the government. And I believe that, and as I agree with Citi, if private sector is at the forefront, they are more innovative, they are more responsive, they create 80 to 90% of new jobs every year. They're the ones who are able to actually absorb these young people when they come out of TIVETs or universities, and definitely they should be at the forefront, and that's what we're advocating for. As I had mentioned, Swiss Contact advocates for private sector engagement in international development, meaning that to solve for economic growth challenges, and that is something that we hope to see materialize even here in Kenya.
How can you also make private sector investment in TIVETs and VTCs increase? Because you have very many private sector colleges, that are offering whatever courses that don't qualify as TIVETs. But then, do they have success stories? Do they graduate into this is a successful TIVET? So we know one. We're talking about the Nairobi Institute of Business Studies. The founder passed away the other day, but she's a success story in that it's become a brand. Can we get others coming in to invest in it?
Yes, so when you talk about the private sector, we're only not talking about like the plumbing or electrical companies or the ones that are offering direct jobs. We are also talking about training institutions. For example, in the Propeller project, we work with Don Bosco Boys Town. It's privately owned TIVET, and they're known for providing well-skilled plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and masonries, and they are also certified by TIVET and NITA to be able to run these programs. There are also other good private TIVET institutions like the East Africa College of Technology, ECT, in Babadogo Road there. They also are well known for that as well. So there's an opportunity for TIVET schools to come from the private sector. There's an opportunity for private sector itself to get engaged. But remember, when we talk about solutions at scale. Who's able to achieve scale? Who's able to get to the masses?
His garment.
Thank you.
His garment.
Thank you.
It's funded by us. We thank you, Lilian, for coming and joining us.
Thank you.
Happy International Day of Education to you and to others. Lilian Moina is the country director at Swiss Contact. She's been our guest as we mark the International Day of Education, talking about education for peace, as set by UNESCO. These conversations continue, and in the next hour we'll have another conversation. As we go into that break, remember, Mara Moja Taxi is the app that you need to download. These taxis are available in Nairobi, in Mombasa, Nakuru, Naivasha, Kisumu, Eldoret. Load money, get 50% bonus immediately you put money onto the Mara Moja wallet. 9 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenyans will from January 29, 2024 be able to access 9 judicial services from various Huduma centers in the country. Some of the services include filing new civil cases, filing documents in an existing case, making general case inquiries, requesting and receiving mention dates, and gaining virtual court support by accessing virtual court links. Another service includes requesting and receiving summons to enter appearances. Through the service, one will be able to access notices to appear in divorce cases, extracted court orders, decrees, certified or uncertified proceedings, and copies of a ruling and judgment. Now, Tana River Governor Dando Godana has urged the government and humanitarian organizations to aid the residents affected by floods in the county. Speaking at the Red Cross headquarters in Hola, where he flagged off 1,400 sanitary kits, 295 shelter kits and non-food items, the governor noted that there are plans underway to evacuate residents from flood-prone areas to higher grounds. He added that the county and national government are working closely to initiate plans to set up schools, homes, health centers, administrative offices and security facilities. He added that the transition will be their biggest challenge yet, since there were plans to shut down some of the facilities. And a postmortem exercise that was to take place at Nairobi City Mortuary on a human head suspected to be that of late Rita Waini was stopped. The head was recovered in Kiambaa Dam in Kiambu County Sunday, and the case has been under the hands of Kasarani DCIO since Waini's mutilated body was discovered in the garbage bin of residential apartment in Roysambu, Nairobi on January 14th. The postmortem was put on hold as the homicide team of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations took over the matter to do a forensic analysis of the recovered head. And the police in Vihiga County are holding a 70-year-old man in custody for allegedly defiling a 12-year-old girl. Hamisi Sub-County Police Commander Patrick Gogo confirmed the incident, saying the minor was a grade 3 pupil. The administrator condemned the incident, noting that cases of defilement and incest have been on the rise in the area in the recent times. And the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union has issued a 21 strike notice to the county government of Uasin Gishu for contravening the collective bargaining agreement that they signed. Addressing the press in Eldoret Town, KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela accused the county government management of frustrating consultants by paying salaries as that of interns. Atela said the county government has also stopped salaries for medical practitioners, thereby forcing them to survive on empty pockets while at work. And 3 people died after 7.1 magnitude earthquake rocked a mountainous and remote part of China's far western Xinjiang region early Tuesday. Now, state broadcaster CCTV reported that a further 5 people were injured and 12,426 evacuated from affected areas. The quake struck Wuxi County, also known as Uktupan County, in Aksu Prefecture near the Kazakhstan border shortly after 2 a.m. local time, according to the state news agency Xinhua. An Iranian protester with a mental health condition will be executed over the death of a local official during Iran's 2022 mass demonstrations. This, according to his lawyer Amir Reizian. Writing on X, Reizian said he received a notification from the Tehran government and revolutionary court that Mohammed Gablou's death sentence will be carried on Tuesday now. Gabu was sentenced to death by Iranian judge Abulqasim Salvati 2 years ago. This is News. I'm Dennis Alcero. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so still a little bit of traffic left on the Thika Superhighway. Hey, Bana, it's not ending. Coming in from Survey out towards the Pangani Tunnel is a headache for a lot of folks. Also on Kiambu Road, still heavy. All the way just after the DCI is where we're seeing traffic is still snaking along, getting towards Muthaiga Square. And Makadara right around Jogo Road, going towards Landis and touching on the Kamkunji roundabout. Okay, guys. Also, Raila Odinga Way is now packed. It's bumper to bumper. Inch by inch movement is what we're talking about. If you can avoid Raila Odinga Way as you're trying to get onto Ngong Road coming in from Langata Road, you might want to think about that and go via Uhuru Highway where there's not much happening now. Keeping an eye on things, folks. Let's talk Spice FM KE on X.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your
Karibu
day.
sana out to the final hour of the Situation Room this morning. How are you doing? Where are you tuned in from? Wherever you are. Asante sana for choosing this to be the way you start. Listen every morning for you. Own your richness. This is what Keringet is telling everybody. Own your richness. Why? Because, well, first of all, you look at Keringet itself and where it comes from. Keringet comes from Kenya's natural earth. See, man-made earth, natural one. Okay? You know where Keringet is city? You've been there?
Somewhere in Molo.
Yes. Right? So where the Keringet...
Keringet is actually the name of a place.
It's a place.
Yes.
That place in Keringet.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
It's a place called Keringet.
Oh, wow.
Just like there's a place called Nairobi.
Oh, okay.
And Olenguruoni.
That one I know.
You know that one? And Warufaga.
That's a lie.
it's Warufaga is before Molo.
So it's not. When you get to Warufaga, you get to Kirengeti, get to Moro,
Stop it.
Get to Reguruone. like that.
Up to Sugoi.
So in Keringet, this is where this water comes from. It's bottled at source. So you'll not find it in Keringet water. No, it's bottled at source. And why is it important to bottle it at source? It has come from the ground. It's filtered through the rocks. Naturally, unadulterated, like we say. It has all those minerals that we've been talking about. What did you say? Magnesium,
Calcium. By the way,
sodium.
You may wonder what magnesium is for, but magnesium helps reduce the possibility of cardiovascular diseases.
Yeah.
Magnesium is good.
It's good, eh? And when you take water, it has magnesium, and so you're therefore helping yourself.
When you take water, you're actually helping yourself more than you know.
Yes.
And I mean just water.
Maji.
Yes.
Oh, actual water. Okay.
Not fermented.
Water.
Let me just repeat it so that our good friend can understand.
Water. H2O, not H2OKPA.
Kenya Brewery. No.
H2O. Okay.
But why didn't why didn't Jesus, in all his wisdom, thought that his first miracle on earth would be to turn water into some fine wine?
No, it just happened that he was at a wedding.
Yeah.
And coincidentally,
why couldn't he have turned water into a whiskey, busa, or
those people
or
don't
grape juice?
It's the people there. It's circumstance.
Yes.
You have gone for a wedding.
Yes.
What are people having?
Wine.
So, if they were having changa,
he would have changed it into changa. And the problem was the wine finished.
But I'm sure they were not just only having wine. There was also other.
There was changa.
There was also
water.
bread.
There was water.
food. Other.
Yeah,
was water.
but none of those things ran out.
What got finished?
So only wine ran out.
Wine ran out.
We were told wine
Ran
finished.
out.
Wine ikakuisha. Sasa wine imeisha alafu wapatia mkate.
If bread was depleted, he would have called for stone.
Yes, he'd have converted
The stones into bread.
No, the particular vended.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
The version of the Bible that you read is
back to the point. Mheshimiwa, take a lot of carrying at water. It's good for you, like City says. Okay?
As opposed to which other water?
Exactly. That's the point. That's the
and even that other water has water in it, so that you know. Otherwise, it wouldn't be what it is.
That's the point. Anyway, the people we are talking to this morning, Dr. Ekuru Aukot is the Third Way Alliance party leader, and Kennedy Ondiek is the UDA coordinator in South Nyanza region. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, actually, we haven't met this year.
No, we haven't.
Happy New Year to you guys.
Karibuni sana.
Yeah. I can see Carrying It is actually sponsoring the show.
Yes.
Big time.
Yes. Big time. Hapa tunakata maji. Now, City has the day's proverb, as you know.
Yep.
And you know the Africa Cup of Nations is going on. Okay?
In Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah. Where we are looking at teams from across the continent, best teams meeting and playing and losing and going home. But we are commemorating and celebrating our talent in the continent. EcoBank is one of the sponsors of the Africa Cup of Nations. It's a Pan-African bank. So with that as well, CT goes across Africa every week to give us proverbs. And this week's proverb, courtesy of EcoBank, is from Morocco.
The Kingdom of Morocco. We have a government structure which is unique and very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
Semi-constitutional.
Yeah.
Ekuru Aukot cannot get a job there. You know him, he writes constitutions for countries in Africa.
He can
write a semi-constitution
because
in Morocco.
You can't have semi without the full. So he'd fit right in.
The proverb?
Proverb. If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once.
If you have a friend like honey, don't eat him all at once. Who wants to go first? Kennedy? Daktari?
Well, I think it probably means that a good thing must be long-lasting. Yeah? Or maybe it could also mean that don't be gluttonous, that once you've got something nice, watch out. Is it any poopa? Yeah? Poopa. Yeah. Good things must last longer.
Yeah, I look at it as the value of what you value. The value of what you value makes you have a need to have it longer than any other thing. So if you have something you value so much, then you can have interest of keeping that thing for as long as you can be alive.
But why did the Moroccans choose to tell us about a good friend? What are they saying about friendship in this context?
Don't take your friends for granted.
Don't take them for granted.
And also, when you have friendships, curate it, manage it, look after it well, because that's what taking for granted means. Because they are friends, but they are what we call fair weather friends. They're your friend because you're what you are today, and should that cease to be, utapiga simu mpaka uone mambo yako.
The Moroccans also meant that because they are fairly desert, like kupata asali ni ngumu, kwa sasa
kupata rafiki pia.
But that is true. Friends, acquaintances are a dime a dozen, as they say in Kiswahili, fungu penny. But friends,
genuine friends.
Genuine
friends.
Yeah, you catch up with many of them and they disappear when the situation changes. So it's important that you nurture the little you have.
The
which you
few
value so
friends, the few good friends that you have.
Keep them.
Nurture them. Keep them. Kennedy, I want to start with you. You are the UDA coordinator in South Nyanza region.
Yes.
Which region is this?
South Nyanza is a region the lower part of River Miriu. It covers Homa Bay County and Migori County.
Is it lower or upper?
It's lower part of
Because
the lower part of River Miriu.
Miriu. When you come from Kisumu, we treat it as upper because we have been trained to believe that Kisumu is a higher part of our region. It doesn't matter the real geographical sphere.
Is lower.
In
Isn't that what they used to call South and Northern Kavirondo?
Yes.
Yeah. So Southern Kavirondo is now the Homa Bay, Migori, all the way. And the Northern Kavirondo was the Kisumu, Siaya.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm thinking, but the area he's talking about is higher. You climb as you're going there. Or do you...
So city, you want it to be called North Nyanza?
No.
Southern.
Yes,
Southern
Southern.
Nyanza.
It's called
Southern
South because
Nyanza.
Or lower.
It originally covered even Nyamira and Kisii, but for political structuring, we take Homa Bay County and Kisumu and Migori County to be the regions in South Nyanza in respect of our organization.
Okay.
Yes.
So Kisii now ceases to be part of South Nyanza?
No, they have their coordinating system. So I am
in the party structure.
In the party structure.
Okay. You're the big boss of the Third Way Alliance Party, right? How many members do you have?
We have, I think, over 48,000 or 50, if I'm not wrong. And the last time I checked. So this issue, by the way, this issue of party membership is now before court, because the registrar of political parties has chosen to interpret what membership to a political party should mean. That you must be a registered voter, which is not true. And I think I don't want to discuss it indeed because it's before court. It's actually a very, very active issue in court right now. And we are challenging that membership should be, in fact, if you go back to when we were proposing the Punguza Mizigo constitutional amendment, we had said that once you reach the age of 18, you should automatically be deemed as a voter. Because if people can marry at 18 and become responsible adults, what is so special about this casting just a vote that you must now go register, and yet Kenya has given you a national ID card. And for us, we are looking at it even as cheapening the electioneering process in Kenya. Because we spend a lot of money every year
in voter recruitment,
registration, vote. So once you get a national ID, which is actually, by the way, constitutionally a document recognized by the Constitution in Article 12, that should automatically make you a person who can make a decision about where this country must go.
Yeah, the problem only begins at the point of now making the choice to make that decision. You might be automatically an adult, but you see, electoral process is a choice. So if someone has not yet made a decision to make that choice,
which choice?
Of voting, then not registering as a voter, that person should not be treated to make a political
you'll
decision.
make that choice on the day of election.
Exactly.
If on the 9th of August, you decide, I want to participate, you just wake up and go and participate.
But you see, the process of registering to participate is the choice point. Is the point at which we make the choice. You make a choice to be a registered.
I guess that's where the
we are
argument in
trying to
court is.
lessen
that
the
is the argument
bureaucracy.
in court.
We're trying to lessen bureaucracy in our political decision making. And I think the same way we say that everybody has a right. So we should allow people to exercise those rights almost automatically. And Ndioki, there are 8 million Kenyans last year who did not vote. No, 2022, sorry. 8 millions did not even bother. Then there's another 8 million who are also registered, by the way. Who could have registered but refused to register because, I don't know, statistically I could be wrong. They said there are 30 million eligible voters in Kenya. 30 million. 80 million refused even to go to register. Then those who registered, about 22 million, 8 of them say that we don't care. We don't think we will participate in this process. So, and this is why I keep on saying, and I'll repeat it here, Ondieki's political party is actually a minority government.
In what sense?
You've started a high note.
In what sense?
So let me break it down for you, City.
24 million registered voters.
No. So let's say let's work with the figures that there are 30 million eligible Kenyans.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
8 million chose not to even register to vote, meaning they did not want to participate in the process of electing a government or exercising that choice that Ondieki is talking about.
Okay.
So 22 million Kenyans registered to participate in an election.
Yes.
On the day of exercising that choice, that decision Ondieki is talking about,
8 million
decided we don't see the point.
16 million so far.
So that's 16 million. Then about 7 million or 8 million voted for
UDA.
For
Kenya Kwanza.
About 7 million or 6 million thereabout voted for Azimio. So comparatively, or proportionally, whatever, I mean, I don't know even the right word now to use. If you have got a government of elected by 8 million Kenyans, let's just say round it to 8 million, but you have 22 million who do not even elect you, who did not exercise the choice to legitimize you. And part of the reason why you can see Ruto and Gachagua and the rest back on the campaign trail is because of desperately seeking that legitimacy, that legitimation. Because, if you've got 22 million eligible Kenyans out of 55 million,
I think
so, City, am I making some sense?
You are, but let's hear what
Kenya is an we get our leaders through electoral
and we'll
process.
go back to the topic of today.
Yes.
How our politics has become so commercialized.
We get our leaders through electoral process, and the electoral process is a choice-making process, and
that's true.
And the constitution which he drafted, and I'm very happy that he was in the committee of experts who made it clear that a particular number of people forming a particular percentage of those who are registered and have participated in election form the majority. So it doesn't matter how many participate, provided that they are registered and they took the choice of participating in that election. We don't count those who did not participate. Neither do we count those who are eligible to register but have not registered.
You know why that argument fails?
It's technical versus philosophy.
But you know why that argument fails? And Ondieki should be very honest with Kenyans.
It will suffice in court. It will suffice in court.
Technically, yes.
Kennedy,
technically, yes.
Kennedy Ondieki is inside UDA kabisa.
Yes, he should be.
But
That's why, he's here.
why his argument does not hold water going forward? Because it is his top leadership who have now said to Kenyans, if you didn't elect us, you're not part of this government, because this government is a company. DP Gachagua himself said that openly. So it justifies what I'm trying to say, that now if you say only 80 million Kenyans are the people you care about, who have got shareholding in this company called the Government of the Republic of Kenya, then Ondieki's argument will not stand. Because constitutionally, yes, I agree with you in principle. Yes, once a government has been elected, it must serve everybody equally or equitably.
Yeah.
Ondieki do not respond. Wacha iende. Ondieki wacha. Wachana na. This one we will not finish.
We won't even get to the heart.
I would have talked about the shareholding of each one.
The shareholding, no.
Wachana na.
Exactly. So either serve us equally as Kenyans, like in the moment you bring another argument to say that, you did not have it.
Now, parties, you two are leaders in your respective parties. All right, we are seeing a lot of activity now. In terms of recruitment of party members, in preparation for the next election, and then we know what will happen thereafter. As we're talking about recruitment of party members, the UDA Secretary General was here last week and he was telling us one of the reasons why you postponed your elections last year is because you want to recruit a bit more members. So by the time you participate in the elections in March, or is it April, then you have gotten a few more members, some from the Kenya Kwanza small parties, others from
fall along the way from other parties, naturally.
So it's an important thing that you do this exercise of recruitment of members. Are you doing the same? Are you recruiting more members?
We do.
Do you have
the
process? It's an open book.
The process of recruitment is open. I mean, you can choose to join any political party. I mean, that's why we are required by law under the Political Parties Act to have at least a minimum of 1,000 members in a majority of counties, meaning 24 counties. Yeah. So the process of recruitment is
an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Have you launched a drive now to?
Ours is continuous. We have members joining us. There are even members actually who leave our party by there. I mean, and the Political Parties Act now requires that when you leave a party, you have to send a resignation letter and all that. So the process of recruitment of members is an ongoing process.
So let's be honest. What influences people? What motivates people to join a party or to leave a party and join another one?
The biggest, for me, I don't know.
Practically, Kenya.
Kenyans
not according to the
basically-
book.
Yeah.
Not what should happen, what does happen.
Not what you wrote.
A lot of people are influenced by populism. Say, for example, the leadership in that particular political party, and that populism also comes with the whole idea of money. You know, that if you don't have money in this country to participate in a political process becomes almost difficult. But there's nothing wrong with because you see, if you're like a farmer, you say that I grow oranges, but if you can't take your oranges to the market, we will not know you're a farmer. So that idea then calls for logistical need that you must be able to move from place A to A. So money is still very important. The problem I have is the manner in which our politics has been commercialized purely for financial gain, especially by those who want actually to seek the leadership of the country. And that's why they go around, for example, undermining other small political party, buying members from other political party, and it's always money in exchange.
So
And
that happens?
Yes.
People are bought to move from one party to another?
The Nani, this MP, embattled MP from, Kisi, Osoro. Osoro said it publicly that because he's the whip, the party whip in parliament, before anybody goes out of the country, they must pass by his office to give him something. And he said it in public that Nyamazeni, once I'm done talking, I'll give you money. I have made a lot of money.
He's intending to bring UDA under attack in respect of that. So I think I will. He's my senior, but I will have to have serious moment of response because basically, in the question you posed, it requires that we understand the political terrain of our country, and Kenya being a very young democracy, sometimes we try to run in the lanes that ought to be taken by the strong democracies, but it is a belief. The principles that guide our politics today, and senior here will agree, is let us go to football first. If you go to the teams which are currently playing, you will find that if a team is on top of the league for 2 consecutive or 3 consecutive years, young fans will go to that team. They will gravitate towards that team. When a party, for example, like UDA today, is coming out to be very strong. In fact, if you find UDA penetrating regions like our region, which has been known to be ODM zones, many people tend to want to know what is here. And with the kind of structure which is put in place, you realize that many people would wish to. I don't want to belittle his party because they have not put up serious competitive marketing strategies which allow them be more visible. But UDA has grown very visible based on the activities which are either on the ground or on online platforms.
Is money a factor, Ondieki?
I don't think money is a factor, but generally money greases different processes. Yeah, we cannot run away from the fact that
You do say that you're contradicting yourself.
No, I don't. You have to
that's
be
why I like
facilitated.
coming to the show with the people in government.
Yes.
Because every time they speak, it becomes so difficult to defend.
It's not contradicting. The fact is, when you want to move from one place to another, in Kenya you can't move freely, and we don't have wings, so no one flies, so you have to pay at least to be transported. So that is not a problem with money. So I only want to say that the fact that he talks about commercialization in terms of membership recruitment, it's really not the truth, like what he was accusing Osoro of. If maybe Osoro said people pass through his office, maybe for a particular activity.
Maybe he said it's on record.
Yeah, but even yourself, when you came from your house, you had to spend on your tea. So you cannot fail to eat.
Let me ask you, if I may, is the intended original role of political parties in this country still being upheld? I ask this because if we can move from one party to another party whose ideologies would be fundamentally different, can we say that truly it is after ideologies we're chasing, or are individuals chasing vehicles for opportunity?
That is why I said we are a young democracy. You know, when you look at stable democracies, even in the United States, they had a long time of structuring, reorganizing, moving, hoping, and the rest. And we are only 60 years. So 60 years is not enough for us to graduate to that very strong democracy. And if we insist that we have to be like those ones who are having blue and red and red regions, then we are going to be forcing ourselves to walk so fast when we were just born the other day. So I just want to to express my belief that our ideology might still be similar in all the agenda we have. If you look at even the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, if you looked at their manifestos, there was no serious difference. It's because we have a common ideology as a country. We are only looking at the groupings in which maybe such our ideologies are able to be easily accessed. Even Bwana Okoh will run to another party if he realizes that the friends like me, I'm his friend by the way, friends like me are in that particular place. So maybe I will say ideology applies to a great extent, but not absolutely in all extent.
What I'll tell you,
let's take a break.
Let me give a quick response.
We have to take the break so that we come back, and then we are picked up by KTN News as well. And the conversation continues 29 minutes after 9. Dr. Ekuru Okoh, party leader of the Third Way Alliance Party, and Kennedy Ondieki, who's the UDA coordinator for South Nyanza region.
Yeah, you see.
I was about to say ODA.
You never know. It could be that by the end of the year.
UDA coordinator for South Nyanza region. These are our guests this morning. Commercialization of politics, that's our topic. As we take the break, remember, Kiwi is reminding you, buy Kiwi.
Buy Kiwi today. Do it. Go into any supermarket or store where it's being sold with the new logo, right? Pick that up, and then you're going to dial the number that's on the starburst, *459 *5#. You'll get airtime or data instantly, and also a chance to enter into the draw. Guess what the draw does for you? You enter into it. 4 people every week are winning 35,000 shillings. Not for you, not to buy water, for school fees. It goes directly to school fees.
So I can't even buy carrying it now. If I
as you're buying your carrying it, walk to the aisle where Kiwi is being sold and buy a tin of that. And you're doing this so that, yes, you can polish your shoes and step up and shine, but somebody can go to school because you bought Kiwi.
Back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Step up and shine. It's that time of the year to win big with Kiwi. Stand a chance to win school fees worth 35,000 Kenya shillings weekly and instant airtime or data. Here is what you simply need to do. Visit your nearest store, buy any participating Kiwi tin with a fabulous new design nationwide. Dial *459 *5#, enter the unique code you'll find under the lid, and you could be the next winner. Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs.
We're coming to the end of traffic hour, but still a little bit of it here and there. Now Huru Highway is taking it off from Langata Road as well as Lusaka Road and also from Bunyala Road. You get to the Haile Selassie Junction without too much of an issue right now. Still have that stretch coming off Survey going towards the Pangani Tunnel on the Thika Superhighway, as well as a little bit of it left coming off of Kiambu Road, and we'll be out of traffic hour and all will be well in the land of traffic. Yes. Let's talk through the day on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM. Nairobi.
Two gentlemen in the studio, political party bigwigs, UDA coordinator for South Nyanza region, Kennedy Ondieki, and Dr. Ekuru Okoh, the national party leader of the National Third Way Alliance political party. City.
Tell me something. In a region that is known to be predominantly ODM, how is UDA faring?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe that our people in our region understand the constitution as was written, and they were first of all treated to the venture into Article 37, which allowed them to demonstrate seriously the other day. But being that they are very clever people, they have read through to 38, which now allows them to join any political party. And our region is really getting into yellow. The reason being that we have been in a monarchical kind of leadership, where in the national platform we have democracy, but at the regional level or at the community level,
it's a semi-constitutional monarchy.
It's a semi-constitutional monarchy.
Where, go Morocco.
where we have lived under the name of Dingaism, which has stayed for so long, and we have moved from different political party to another under the same umbrella of Odingaism. So our people have decided just to open up and allow democracy to take course. And in fact, we are encouraging them. Even your wife and a wife and a husband can be in different political parties, especially now that UDA is becoming competitive and strongly competitive against ODM. We are encouraging existence of the two parties, and we are selling the ideology. The reason why UDA is picking faster than ODM is because serious activists who are supporting ODM and helping ODM to keep the numbers and gather more are now the ones who are in UDA. Some of us were very strong members of ODM, but after realizing that this single party mentality is heading nowhere with us, we have decided to change. It's a serious paradigm shift, and everyone is moving towards UDA.
Were you a regional coordinator in ODM?
In ODM, I served a different. In fact, I was a delegate. In fact, I ran against Sifuna for Secretary General.
Did you have this kind of office, regional coordinator, a big office?
No, I didn't. There was no such position. In fact, they are also creating it now. They have realized that regional coordination is very powerful.
The reason Ondieki right now is a regional coordinator for Southern Nyanza is because of facilitation and opportunities in EDM. As a matter of fact, let's be very brutally honest here. I don't want to, let me just say generally, most political parties in Kenya are not driven by any ideology. None.
Including the
Third-Way Alliance. In fact, the only political party in my view that has an ideology is Third-Way Alliance Kenya. And you should read our manifesto. We are social democrats. You know, we are neither the far left or the far, so we have a belief. I believe in transformation of this country, change in this country. And you can see even from what we have done since 2027 when I participated first in politics. 2017, sorry. What we have done over the period of time, including bringing that very good proposal called Punguza Mizigo, which these people fought, by the way, because it did not come from somebody who is supposed to be a populist. And he mentioned Odingaism. There's no difference between Odinga, William Ruto, and all the other big shots. Because for them, it is their names and the money they have that attracts people to them. Because, and the reason I say, Ondieki, there's no ideology even in your political party, UDA and ODM. Look at the manner in which they have kept on changing from political parties. I mean, let's go back memory lane. 1992. William Ruto, now president, joins YK 92, Youth for KANU 1992. In 97, he vies under KANU. In 2002, I think he joins ODM, if I'm not wrong, or
he stayed with KANU.
He stayed with KANU. Then 2007, he becomes part of the ODM. Then in 2013, he joins with his party. What is his party? URP together with the, look at that transformation. Now it is UDA, and I can tell you, I'm not a prophet of doom, but I can tell you, I suspect there will be another new formation in 2027. So meaning, really, these people are not driven by any ideology at all. It's about the opportunities, and that's why when you look at
Ondieki told you, we're a young democracy.
No.
We are forming ideologies.
You see what Ondieki is telling us, because we are not America or the UK or whatever. Let's still remain in Stone Age. We are in the age of technology and information. Now that look at Ondieki, is well dressed.
How do you expect
why can't Ondieki now say
to our colonizers?
Ondieki, how long did it take you before you started wearing a very nice
how old is our parliament building compared to the
you should have said,
house?
Because I'm not in America, let me still wear my skin and matawi until certain time. There's no time frame. Now we have knowledge. We have the advantage of knowledge on how we can do things better. Yes. So why do we want to get stuck to the fact that Americans started 200 years ago?
But is it getting stuck, or is it acknowledging just the process of change and how difficult it is for people to actually change from a position that they've held with this tradition or not to a new one.
Today, with the knowledge we have and the opportunity, say, presented upon yourself, you can say, oh, I don't want to go and live, say, in Karen or, Runda, because let me still move from, Eastlands, Nikisonga kidogo. But if you have the opportunity, you can live a better life. And the same thing for me in political governance. I think if we can do our things better, as a country, we can change our society. Today, we cannot be told that let's not industrialize the opportunities that we have in our country because America did that slowly. Today we know. Today we know that we have got titanium in this country. We have got certain natural resources. So why can't we industrialize? Do we have to wait until we are 100 years old to be?
But that's not what he was saying.
You look at the double speak. You look at the double speak.
Let him say what he wants to say.
Yeah, you look at the double speak in him. There's a moment he talks theory. There's a moment he talks practice. When theory favors him, he runs quickly to it. And when practice favors him, he runs quickly to it. When he looks at the street of Kenyan politics, he brings money in it. When he looks at the maturity of democracy in Kenya, he looks at only what he wants to see. I can tell you that as a country, we are having a history, and our history is as brief as 60 years. The countries that he studied from,
we have our history goes beyond
freedom.
60 years.
Since our political and our democracy, our multi-party democracy. Apart from the little of 1966 to 1969, we remained in one party up to 1992. So we have to understand our political development all from 1992.
We were forced
being forced to or being able to, it was, whichever thing it was, we were under it. So we remained in it up to until when we were able to take ourselves out in 1992. And from 1992 to date, you cannot strictly put Kenyans into a particular path because they are yet to be adopted to that path and live with it. So I am only pleading with the senior that the theory we read in Constitution.
Using the year 1992.
Yeah, that was when we started multipartism in Kenya. And that's now when we need to develop our parties. In fact, your party...
Multipartism existed at independence.
At independence,
yes. Even before independence, actually.
Yes.
If you go... But now, Ndieki, I'm happy you're using the year 1992. You see, comparatively, if you say 1992, Kenyans decided we are going multi-party democracy.
Yes.
Yeah? Now, let's compare to, say, what people like citing about the oldest democracy in the world. How long did it take, for example, the Americans before they could even allow women to vote? Before they could allow civil liberties to be practiced. So meaning we have progressed much faster comparatively than even the Americans.
That's what we are trying. And that's the point, collapse.
And that's the point I was trying to tell you. With knowledge, with know-how now, we don't need to wait until certain years, certain decades happen before we can say we are now progressing. We can transform our country quickly. The truth for the matter, Onyeki is not admitting it, that the reason he has joined UDA, which is his right, of course, he's trying to justify it under Article 38 of the Constitution, is because there are opportunities in UDA. Yeah, and he has singled out Odingaism. Nobody forced them to follow Odinga in Luo Nyanza. You know, part of the reason why people join political parties in this country is regionalism, tribalism, and money. We can sit here and argue until the heavens ask on us, but if without money, the following of a political party becomes and Kenyans hardly interrogate ideas. And
what is this money factor? Because there are two things that you had mentioned, both of you. You acknowledged that you need money resources for mobilization, for operationalization of party activities.
Yes.
That's one. I mean, it's obvious. Yeah. It's administrative. What's the other money factor?
So the money factor, let me break that up. The money factor for me here, for example, if people come to say, people call me expecting that I'm this rich guy because I'm a party leader, I have money, they ask me to come for Arambe, they ask me for this and that. So there is that expectation that whoever is leading a political party must be rich. I must be able to have a big purse to just keep on giving handouts. And that's the culture of handouts in Kenya. Meaning, therefore, that if you don't really have money, trust me, people,
you'll not attract.
Ondieki and Sitia come from a region called Luo Nyanza, where, there's a phrase called Gonya. After a meeting, release me, untie me.
Allow me answer. Allow me answer that.
That is a factor of whoever is organizing a political gathering or meeting is expected to actually part with money.
So it's a public expectation for handouts.
There is a public expectation that you must participate in, in fundraisers and all that. Kenyans will not take you seriously, politically speaking, if you actually do not donate money. Especially if you are a political party leader or you have sought leadership in this country. I don't know about
Does
you.
money have a role to play in the relationship between political parties?
So let me say this. The reason people actually in this country, majority, I think, especially those in political leadership, actually seek political position, especially at the national level or in government, is to accumulate wealth. And once they accumulate wealth, they use that money now to enhance their political strength on the ground. That's why you will see speedy transformation of individuals once they get into politics.
So are you saying there's no intention by individuals from the onset to actually make sure that the job that is being given to them by Kenyans by virtue of the vote to be done? There's no intention from the beginning. It's to go make money, and then after that you use this same money, because we're talking about commercialization of this thing, to essentially pull the wool over the eyes of people. It's clear that nothing is being done, or very little, but then you keep enticing folks over again to make them think that you are doing something.
I'm sure there are exceptions to that general rule, but the general rule is this: people get into politics in this country for purely financial gain.
Now respond.
I agree.
The money factor.
I agree to great extent, but I wish to look at the commercialization aspect in two angles: necessity and lack of it. When there is necessity, there is need to have some finances, and I think that is not commercialization, that is facilitation. So we have to differentiate between facilitation of politics and also commercialization in terms of when I look at the word commerce and then bring it in politics, I see a very big philosophy that ought to have its own school of thought. But I think in the Kenyan structure, using money in running of campaigns or running of political parties' activities, it is not commercialization, it is facilitating. But what Dr. Cott talks about also makes some real sense in the Kenyan system, and it's in Africa and in fact all over the world. First, no one will entrust a person who has not taken care of any little wealth with the wealth of the state. If you are poor to the extent that you cannot take care of even yourself, no one will entrust you with that. Let us be honest. Even in the old kingdoms, the kings were people who are either winners of a war. You must have won a war. You must have been leading a particular group. And that's when you could be entrusted with leadership. So I think, first of all, there's part of equipping yourself with necessary education, and also equipping yourself with necessary experience, and equipping yourself with necessary support, whether euphoria or just but real support. So using money, when you are invited to a function, like for example, I attend some, I have done some business, I have some money. So when I'm called to a church, I can contribute. And when I contribute, they will always be looking upon me, that I can be able to take care of them, so that beyond the church, I can help in fee. Beyond the fee, I can help in funerals. So they will always look upon you, and then they will entrust you with even their faith. So sometimes they entrust you with their faith just because of how much they have been seeing your willingness, however small it is. So when you get to power, it now allows you maybe your own salary, together with certain accessible things, which we are in the world, we are in Kenya. And you see, there are certain things which you'll automatically access whenever you are in a position. Decision making, when you're making a serious decision, some of them come with money. So I think that we cannot sleep in the sand and cover our heads in a cocoon and think that we can do things without spending. We must spend, but it only depends on your capacity to spend.
So what's the threshold then for making it all right?
Personally, I believe.
Question here. So, for example, we know very well the sway that political parties have in this country. We cannot run away from that reality.
Yep.
And there could be things that are allegedly done, but okay, you know, if we're going to speak outrightly of what we've heard, of what we know, we know also the push and pull that political parties have. If I ask you to move to my party, I know that there's something that you will bring whether it's crowds of people, whether it's followership, if I entice you with some kind of
reward,
are we still saying that's okay and that's facilitation? As in, you need to move from your party to mine and it's facilitation, so that works?
No.
That's the commercialization that we are talking about.
Yeah, I believe that
if parties are founded on ideology, and that I really feel that this party is going the way in which the nation needs for its development, for its economic responsibility and development, why should I have to reward you for moving? Or why should I have to ask for a reward to move, to bring followership?
I don't think it's reward. Ondieki should be very honest with Kenyans. There are members of parliament who have outrightly said, openly, Ondieki, that parliament is just being bought. And UDA is one of those political parties that actually is buying
and that's
members
an
of parliament.
Which you can't substantiate.
Ondieki,
An allegation
I'm telling you, there are members of parliament who have openly said it. I mean,
it is confessions by the takers.
Yes.
So
they say without money.
I wanted to attend to what she raised, which is very important. That do you get swayed by the facilitative capacity of a party to do the activities? And
No, fine. Not to do the activities, to join their party.
Yes, join them.
Yeah.
While joining them, you will be carrying out the activities. Like now, I'm carrying out UDA activities. So I am not swayed by the capacity of UDA to facilitate me, but certain circumstances make you change. Like in our region. Let us focus on our region. We are coming to UDA to create an alternative voice. We have had one voice for far too long. And that is the reason why we are coming in. And I wanted also to add that facilitation here depends on somebody's willingness. There are people who have not been willing to do anything. And Patrick Lumumba once said, and I listened to him one day, he said that PLO, they're the PLO. Yes. He once said that our lodge. Yes. Yeah. He once said that in Kenya, you may be voted not because you know everything that you need to do, but it's because people want you. And that's where he brought example of the village fool being made a councillor. They call him to talk even when he is not having anything to say, but simply because he is that councillor. So power in Kenya and political power in Kenya, it might not be even based on qualification as you have, but it's because the people decide. When people decide, they will decide that way, irrespective of how that thing is decided.
Why don't we advance this conversation?
There's something I want to say here. Whenever people talk of political parties, and they look at the West, they are selective. Party politics in the West is even more interesting than ours in this sense. You will find, for instance, that most political parties in the West have regions where they have clout. It is known. And in that clout, they have something they call safe seats. Because that area votes Labour. So, as I say, so long as you're on a Labour ticket, you're going to go through. Now, we substitute that with communities that we refer to as tribes. Okay? And then we have political parties which are also assigned majority to certain tribes. Our attempt right now seems to be to try and mix this up so that there's a national look to all these things. It's a good thing that we're doing.
It's a fallacy. We are wasting our time.
No, it is a good thing we're trying to do. But it will not stop us from voting the way we voted in the past in terms of who do I think I would trust with my vote.
But I think in Kenya, the difference is this, and Ondieki has alluded to that, is that in these regions or these tribal cocoons, there is a father figure. That if that father figure doesn't dictate, and he knows it very well, like, for example, in places of Luo Nyanza, the issuance, for example, of a certificate for you to participate in an election must be directed from somewhere else. So it is not even about the political party's constitution that we are following or the rules and regulations of a political party. It's about what the party leader says. Listen, I'm a living example. When I offered myself to run for president of this country, some of my friends, people I've gone to school with, they look at me and say, are you joking? See, you're Turkana. How many votes do you get? How much money do you have? So the idea that me to offer myself, I must come with
But
you need a stronghold.
Were they not being honest and realistic?
Yes, they were very honest, but that's what I'm saying. I want us now to take this conversation to another level, which is where, okay, I think we are discussing the problem in this country. Now, how do we clean it up? I think we need to have a robust conversation going forward, and I'm happy that Ndieki and his other members are actually daring Luo Nyanza to bring in a political party of another political leader who is not popular in that region. And I hope it can begin
party of another tribe.
Yes, another tribe. Yeah, because that's exactly how we are choreographed here.
Okay.
You know, so I'm happy this conversation is going that way, and I hope really that, and I've said it before, even in your show here, that President William Ruto is actually providing us with an opportunity to begin to interrogate leadership in this country.
Yes,
because he came with the narrative that, you know, this is a hustler nation, hustler government, wheelbarrow person, nini. He said I was a chicken seller, as if there's nothing wrong with selling chicken. I mean, if you're a chicken seller, actually, you're in commerce. You're a businessman. You're an investor. But now that you brought yourself to our level, Uko Chini, now we say, okay, one of our own has now taken over the leadership of this country. I hope it really opens the eyes of Kenyans and an opportunity for Kenyans to begin to interrogate that even when now we give Ondieki, it comes from Luo Nyanza or Ekuru or Kotondo or Sitia. Let's begin to interrogate the ideas. I hope we can now take this conversation to that level than to say, how much money do you have, Latiff? Which region are you from? How many members of your tribe? I mean, because even if today I became president of the Republic of Kenya as a Turkana, it's not like at my salary I'll be telling the Turkanas, line up now and set us, this is the opportunities. And you see, that has been part of our problem for the longest time. That and what part of the reason I disagree with this group from Luo Nyanza that now attacking ODM and going to UDA, because of the narrative they presented that, we are joining government because we want to bring development to our people. Development is not, it's a right of every Kenyan. So we don't have to beg. We don't have to say, let's associate ourselves with the government of the day so that we get development.
It should demand
it should be a right. It should be a right. But the political narrative, and that's the commercialization. Because
I tend to disagree there.
Well,
I have a right to disagree.
Ondieki, you disagree. But is it not true that the narrative people are putting out there that our association with the president
is bringing goodies,
and the government is bringing goodies, as if it is the president's, prerogative to decide where to do a road, especially when you talk about things like roads.
When we talk about our region, and he talks about our region more as if he comes from there. And I'm a
Kenyan, I'm a national. My thinking is national. I don't think
I'm seated here. For us, we are still more village in thinking, and that's why I'm only coordinating South Nyanza, not Turkana.
But you are educated, but you're speaking very good English.
I really want to let you know that the struggle we have in our region may not be understood by him or any other person if it's not well explained. We have what is called fatigue. As a people, sometimes you can be fatigued. You can be in a struggle. You can be in a struggle, but in the process you get tired. We have been tired. We are highly erudite. We are serious erudites. If you look at our people, we are highly learned, so sharp, if so to say. But you realize that we have been
But you used to think like in a village.
Just a minute. Because of the old mentality that we have to stand with one of our own has made us remain in the peripheries for all the time, except when we got into a Nusumkate government. Every intention of every political party is to capture state power. But we have, as for all the time we have mutated from different political parties, we have not succeeded. And we have to evaluate ourselves that where did the rain start beating us and how can we avoid the rain? The thing is, association with the government is necessary, and that is why it is called state. In the social, when we had the social theory, everybody surrendered their power to state so that they can have the capacity to take care of themselves. So the state has a duty, and you cannot call it a right only because there's a time when a decision is made by an individual. You cannot force a decision to be made in a more of your right, in a rightful manner. So, Banokura Okot, if you were the president today, you would not appoint me who did not run along with you as your vice. Neither shall you appoint me as your chief of staff. That is now what I wanted to explain about the shareholding bit. That you cannot pretend that since I voted X, I expect Y to welcome me the following day. in the political competitive nature. It has not happened even in the external countries. So
the more I listen to Ondieki, the more now I know there's a problem in this country.
No, in our region,
someone like Ondieki has not read the Constitution.
No, but you don't talk the Constitution all the time. Sometimes you talk what
practical
happened.
reality.
Yes.
No,
so when we started, you didn't want to talk the Constitution. Now you are getting back
30
to the
seconds.
Can I give him the reality?
I mean,
30 seconds.
I want to make the
seconds,
following submission that as a region, and that is South Nyanza and Nyanza at large, we have been so much into a particular path, and we have decided as a people to look at the other way so that we allow comparatives. We can have A and B to compare. Being with one wife, for example, I don't know whether
you continue.
Should allow, polygamy allows you
10 seconds.
Yeah, polygamy allows you chances of knowing who can serve you best, and that is why our region has embraced you.
That's the truth. 30 seconds, Akuru, as we conclude.
Ondieki, let me just explain. One of the reasons why we came up with 47 counties.
25 seconds.
Yes, 47 counties is so that the counties can be the conveyor belt for development. Now, this is a false narrative Ondieki is trying just because of the association with the president and the government of the day. The 47 counties are supposed to be developmental. What Ondieki should be telling us here, in the county of Homa Bay, where he comes from, is the money that is devolved there accountable, and has it been used properly? That is the development we want, so that now we can begin to talk about one Kenya. Wacha na mambo ya village, my tribe.
That is theory.
We will invite you guys again, so we can have a longer conversation on this. Asanteni sana for joining us. Dr. Ekuru Aukot and Kennedy Ondieki. Kennedy is the UDA coordinator for South Nyanza region. Thank you for tuning in. Kenya's biggest conversation, 10 a.m. Have a lovely one.
When you are the premiership.